And are we streaming? Are we streaming? We are streaming, yes we are. Here we are, streaming now. We're streaming. Today we're streaming away. Let's stream today. I'm going to be getting an electric piano. Come this Saturday. I connected with somebody on Kijiji for an electric piano. You know how Kijiji is, right? And they said they'll deliver it, and it looks like it's in good repair and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully when it arrives, it's actually looking good. Hey, Jacqueline, how you doing? I haven't seen you in here in quite some time. Good to see you, Jacqueline. And I'm hoping, hey, Misty, how you doing? I'm hoping that the electric piano, I'm going to start using it in that opening song. And so be nice to open the whole thing up. Hey, Vince. Wow, everybody's coming in all at once. This is wonderful. What a nice way to start the show. I'm used to more of a trickle in, but you guys are like waiting in line outside the door. Hey, damn boxes. Mystic, I haven't seen you around in a long, long time, mate. Good to see you, bud. Good to see you. I'm going to be really honest with you guys, man. I'm pretty deep into the depression. I'm having I feel like I'm doing all the right things, and I feel like I'm moving around and I'm making it happen. And but geez, just like I feel it here and here. You know, like it's really hard to lift my arms up and really hard to do really anything. So yesterday, was it you, Damn Boxes, or was it someone else? Was it Demand Better or was it Damn Boxes? Oh well, that's so nice of you, Vince. Thank you so much. That told me about David Lynch. And so I'm gonna open today with a clip. This is David Lynch does a daily weather report where he has a pattern and a formula, and then he does a different clip where he is perfect, Damn Boxes. Absolutely perfect. So you're here. You've probably already seen this then. And I don't know what it is, but there's something almost magical about this. So I'm going to play this.
Good morning. It's August 4, 2021, and it's a Wednesday. Here in LA, another clear, sunny morning. Very still right now. 64 degrees Fahrenheit, around 18 Celsius. Today I was thinking about Captain Beefheart and his magic band. The year 1969. The album Trout Mask Replica, and the song The Dust Blows Forward and the Dust Blows Back. This afternoon it'll be going up to 88 degrees Fahrenheit, around 31 Celsius, and it looks like we're going to be enjoying once again those beautiful blue skies and golden sunshine all along the way. Everyone, have a great day.
You too, David Lynch. I cannot explain it. Just he starts talking, and he tells me about the weather, and then he just gives me like a little tidbit of nothing. It's not even trivia. It's literally just like, I'm thinking about this thing that existed. And I feel it. I was just telling you about how I feel the depression here and here, and as he's talking, I just feel it kind of lift. You know? I kind of feel like just like something happens, and I can't explain it with this. That it's so surreal and odd that David Lynch is doing this at all. He's just doing this at all. But here he is, and there's something so lovely about it, and I really, really like it. And Mystic Werewolf, you're saying you're officially not a conservative anymore. Good news. I'm a libertarian now. We'll cure you of that too, bud. We'll cure you of that too. But baby steps, baby steps. Okay, so everybody, here he comes with today's number. Right, let's think about the number. Dan Boxes, you were saying it's been how long since he's drawn the number 9? Right? He hasn't drawn the number 9 in, what, 75 days? Been doing this for almost a year now? So it's got to be 9, right? Like, it's got to happen, right? Do you think we'll make it to 100 without 9? So everybody, type in the chat. Come on, let's all get on board with this. What number do you think? It's between 1 and 10. What number do you think David Lynch is going to draw out of this bucket today? Come on, let's see our predictions. I'm doing 9. I'm on 9. Where are you guys at? Come on, you didn't all leave all of a sudden. I'm just doing this David Lynch stuff, and you guys have all just left. 7, yeah, the Mystic. Oh, hey, Mach, how you doing? We got 6, we got a 4. All right, here we go. Here we go. This is good. This is good. Who's the lucky person today? And Dan Boxes, you better be honest if you've seen this already.
For today's number. It's August 4, 2021. 10 balls. Each ball has a number. Numbers 1 through 10. Swirl the numbers. Pick a number. Today's number is
4. DM, it's your day, bud. You did it. What will tomorrow's number be? DM, look at you. Blessed by the hand of David Lynch himself. DM, you're the winner, bud. Ding, 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 ding. That's all right, Dan Boxes. That's all right. Right? I haven't won yet. I haven't won. Yay! This is fun. This is fun. I'm doing this, guys. Like, if you come in here in the first 10 minutes of this show, the first 10 minutes, we're doing David Lynch, because there's something pure and beautiful, and the lotto draw, it's so, and to have David Lynch be doing it, it's like I have a guest host, right? Like guest host David Lynch, who just comes in. Today's number 4. Do you get 10 million from OLG? Oh man, I wish. I would love to have that job, eh? What a job that would be. To just like give someone money, right? Like Pat Sajak of Wheel of Fortune. He's got to have the best job in the world. Oh, hey Dan, how you doing? You just anyway. Here's if you get to, don't say that out loud, bud. Don't say that out loud. That's how lawsuits happen. That would be very sweet of you, though. Clicking through mandatory training. Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, dude. Is it like the soft voice, like in today's corporate environment, one must? Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay. Here's something I found, and I figured I'd play this because I've been feeling really depressed today, especially, and this was really nice, really a solidarity moment.
Choice.
Nothing. I'm fine. I don't need therapy. I'm good.
You just sang an entire song about.
Well, you're attacking me by asking that, and so I'm not going to therapy because you brought it up.
I just love this. I just love it. Made me feel nice about myself. Hey Ninetails, how you doing today? Good to see you. Hey, what do you think of Status Quo and their simping for the Dems? I don't think I know the event you're talking about. Is there something maybe you're in the Discord? Yeah, is there something you can link to the Discord? I'll take a look at it for sure. I mean, like, everybody's simping for the Dems now, right? Like, there's this phenomenon that's 100% going on with... Got it. There's... as people are settling into the reality that the Dems are essentially just like Republicans, they're not much different than the Republican Party. So people are... Yeah, Nina Turner's campaign, yeah, lost by about 4,000 votes, which, I mean... Yeah, I mean, it's and honestly, I don't believe that any of these Democratic primaries are legitimate. I'm just going to put it out there, and I'm just going to put it on the table and be as honest as I possibly can about that. Any of these primaries that come out of the Democratic Party, I don't think that there's any legitimacy to them whatsoever. I think that they outright stole the primary election from Bernie when it was between Bernie and Hillary. And that we actually have evidence for, right? Like, that one's well understood that it was outright thievery. As more information comes out about the Biden win over Bernie, it looks like it's the same sort of story. So all of these Democratic primaries, I'm just like, yeah, of course Nina Turner lost. Like, she wasn't going to win. It wouldn't matter what the voter turnout looked like. And they'll make it look however they want it to look, right? And I don't... So I'm over it. Like, I'm over it when it comes to this, electoral politics thing. Like, there's the and the legitimate, and so this throws major legitimacy questions under the bus for it. And it's funny because in many ways, the Republican primary is actually much more legitimate. It's interesting how that is. Like, the Republican primary is actually really straight up, and that they're... So when it comes to, if your major thing is electoral legitimacy, well, the Republicans' primary is as straight up as it can get. That the way the Republicans rig things is through gerrymandering and stuff like that. Yeah, Mystic, you're exactly. There are conservatives who claim to be alpha and patriots, but they never serve in the military, never played sports, never work out the gym, and are just 5'8". It's just it's the little big man syndrome, right? Like they want to be big and tough and all this kind of stuff. So why they have the big trucks with all the stickers on them, and they carry around the guns, and they wear all the paraphernalia, and they look the look. But it's just peacocking, right? And Nine Tails, I feel like I completely blazed over what you were talking about. Status quo, they're simply... Well, and right. So this is the phenomenon, right? Is that as people are beginning to understand that the Democrats are essentially, oh, here you are. People were saying stop voting Democrat and burn it all down. And they were like, we have to vote Dem if a good candidate runs. And asked, would you still vote for her if she ran Republican? They won't answer. It's just, to me, it's this manic hope. And I'm starting to lose faith in it here in Canada as well. But it's this manic hope that electoralism is going to somehow resolve these issues. And lots of, the more powerful you get and the closer you get to the power structure, the more you have to kind of adhere to the internal logic and the internal rules of the power structure, right? The power, and they're not going to... So they are going to eventually just bow down and kowtow to the Democrats, because it's that classic, Democrats have, you've got nowhere else to go. The left has nowhere else to go, right? And if you're not willing to at least, to withhold your vote, right? If you're not willing to show that you're willing to withhold your vote, then that's the only power that you truly have in electoral politics. But what it means is that you have to accept that you're going to experience a great deal of pain, because withholding your votes from the Democrats means that you get Republicans, right? And AOC and her squad in the pockets of Nancy Pelosi. Can't believe I've never heard that before. It's like dangling. It's like low fruit. It's right there. And big thanks. Yeah. And AOC and the squad is just another grift, right? It's just another layer on the grift. And that's becoming very obvious. I feel like this, the mass evictions that are occurring, which I've got a tweet from this. I'm sure I'll come into it. like the mass evictions that are happening, like I feel like that's what's completely revealed everything, right? That like AOC and the squad didn't stand up, they didn't fight, right? We get like one kind of speech, kind of half-heartedly given from AOC, but they're not like fighting. They're not really trying to stop it. So they've just been absorbed into the power structure, right? And maybe they did get into it with all of these like good intentions and this, that, and the other thing. But it's what I've always said, which is billionaires are dangerous, right? Billionaires are dangerous. That people just want to have a billionaire for a friend at the end of the day, right? And you don't want to have a billionaire as an enemy. And that's really all it comes down to. And that's why a billionaire is dangerous. Yeah, democratic countries don't have social, political, and economic democracy. Like, America is really bad. Like, America is about as bad as I think it gets. The European nations, as well as Canada, I'm still a little on the fence about. But even then, like, I take a look at the NDP, and the NDP in this, the New Democratic Party here in Canada, it's our third party option, right? It's very, very believable to me that they've just been bought. Right? It's very believable to me that they've just been bought. Like, now is the time to be standing up and talking about revolutionary policies, right? That if we are to believe in electoral politics, now is the time to be standing up and to be saying out loud, we need to be, experimenting with something. We need to be doing something serious. We need to be doing something absolutely revolutionary in the way that we think about our economics and our politics. That neoliberal economics has failed completely and will not recover. We need to be doing things that are outside of what we have been told. That the trickle-down neoliberal economics has no scientific, mathematical, ideological credibility whatsoever. There's not one aspect of neoliberal economics that is real or has manifested anything but hardship for the populace as they use it. And so if we are not going to have a party stand up now and start talking in a revolutionary way about how to restructure our society for the benefit of the people, then electoral politics is a complete and total failure. And the only reason that parties are not doing that right now is because they've been bought by the very forces that are still attempting to convince us that neoliberal economics is anything but a religious ideology and anything but a death cult ideology. And so I've got very, very big questions about Jagmeet Singh, right? I've got enormous questions about Jagmeet Singh. And I mean, I am willing to kind of stand back with my arms crossed and kind of a skeptical look and wait for the ad campaign to happen. But so far, I'm kind of like, what's up, dude? Like, what's up? And I know that it's not 100% fair to be that skeptical of Jagmeet before, and the NDP generally, before the campaign actually starts. Because you know that they are kind of like holding back. You know that they are kind of holding back, waiting for things to actually get called. That the ads that they have done have sort of like peppered the idea. But I'm not hearing them talk about a basic income. I'm not hearing them talk about the disabled. I'm not hearing them talk about the homeless. I'm not hearing them talk about the clearing of these encampments. I'm not hearing them talk about the rise of a police state. I'm not hearing them talk about the failure of neoliberal economics. I'm not hearing them talk about any of that kind of stuff. And I'm certainly not seeing them actually pound on the drum to rally the populace towards a war effort to defeat climate change. I'm not seeing any of that. And again, it's before the election. Maybe they have a bunch of ads all ready to go, and maybe they're sitting there being like, oh, John, you just wait. You just wait. All these ads are coming. All this stuff is coming. It's right here. It's coming. Just hold on to your horses, John. Just hold on. You wait. The second the gauntlet is dropped by the Liberal government, we're going to pound on the pulpit and we're going to show you what we're about. Maybe. But and honestly, straight up, I will happily say this. If they do not, given the overwhelming absurdity of what the populace is faced up against, if they do not, then electoral politics is a failure, and we should abandon it as a strategy. Straight up, here in Canada, that electoral politics is no longer a place where we should be spending our energy whatsoever. If the NDP are not willing to fight back against this demon that's coming to fight us, then we should give up on electoral politics completely. It obviously doesn't work. Like, it obviously has failed. It obviously doesn't work. If it's not willing to actually fight back against demons, like, it would be literally as if, like, imagine you had an army, like you've got an organized military, right? And an obvious, like, a troll is pounding on the door of the castle and is gonna smash through the door. And all of your military leadership and the organized military is just sort of sitting there playing a game of Parcheesi or something. And you're standing there being like, hey, are you going to do something about this troll pounding on the door? And they just go, nah, what troll? Oh, yeah, okay. We'll do some incremental kind of things. Maybe feed it a sheep every so often. It'll go away. Right? Like, how long would that have to go on before you said, we need to abandon these guys and organize our own thing to fight against this, right? And all that's going to happen if we keep funneling all of our energy into electoral politics is that the troll is going to kick in the door and eat all of us, right? And it'll eat all of us while we're, like, putting on different color shirts. Oh, I'll take this red shirt off and put on an orange shirt. Oh yeah, I'll take off this orange shirt and put on a green shirt. You know, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? Fight the troll, right? Organize, form lines. It's a war effort. Fight the troll. It's not happening. I don't see anybody actually doing it. The best I see is like some liberal, like going to the top of the parapet and just throwing a sheep over the side so that the troll will grab it from the air and eat it momentarily, so that for just one fractional second we'll stop pounding on the door. That's the best we've ever done. So, big question marks about Jugmeat. Big question marks about Jugmeat. Because, like, has he been bought? Has he been bought? Is he part of the capitalist death cult or not? That's the big question. And this election will answer a lot of those questions. Oh, what do we got? You guys. Democratic countries, yeah. Oh God, the squad was at Capitol homeless protest for a photo op, and now there's fundraising off it. It's disgusting. Exactly. That's all it is to them. It's a fundraising event to deceive the gullible, to get money from the gullible. It reminds me a lot. I actually really respected this. I had like a great deal of respect for this. For what's her stupid name from Alaska? Ran with John McCain. Come on, Sarah Palin. Ugh, Sarah Palin. Who? Okay, let's be straight about one thing. Okay. Sarah Palin is a straight up babe, okay? I know I say this all the time, okay? So, and leave me alone. How dare you? How dare you? So what she did is after the failed presidential bid of John McCain, where she was the vice presidential candidate, the next election cycle, she went around and followed the Republican Party, like the Republican caucus, in her own tour bus. But she never ever declared her presidential bid. But she kept kind of angling on it. She kept kind of being like, yeah, maybe I will. Like, oh yeah, it's going to happen. She kept doing speeches. She kept doing stuff. But she was never like officially part of the whole thing. And she gets like $2 to $3 million from this, just driving this bus around doing these speeches, and people just give her upwards of $2 to $3 million, and then she never declares and just leaves. And like all that money is just, yeah, it wasn't part of a presidential campaign. I don't need to declare any of that. It was just money that people gave me for being there. So in many ways, she was just like a busker, essentially. And so she like grifted everybody. She completely grifted everybody. And I gotta tell you, it's like, it was such a straightforward con. Like, it wasn't connected to like any of this like institutional stuff, all this kind of stuff. It was as straightforward a con as a con can be, right? That she's just like, I'm Sarah Palin and I'm here and I'm having a speech and oh sure, I'll take your money. Yeah. I actually respected it. I was actually just like, God damn it, Sarah Palin. I didn't think you had it in you. I didn't think you had it in you to run such an efficient and straight con. But she did. She did. And so, yeah, of course, like, and that's the same kind of con that AOC is running, right? That, I'll just show up to where these homeless people are and pretend like I care and people will give me money for it. It's the same kind of grift, right? It's the same kind of grift. You got to respect the hustle. And it just really flows into what I always say on this stream, guys. Like, we are very gullible. We're very, very gullible as a people. Like, we're very, very gullible as a people. Like, if we formed up and got on the street and formed a line and said we are not going to give you any money, if you accept any money from corporate donors, we will abandon you. Deal with climate change, deal with homelessness, do all of this stuff, or we are not showing up to vote. And if the populace did that, that would be the end of a lot of this bullshit. But we're so fractured and gullible. Like, we're very gullible and easy to distract. Like, we're really easy to distract. So, like, that's not going to happen, right? That's not going to happen. And it's, like, the thing that we need to be doing. So, as long as Nancy Pelosi eats her $200 ice cream bar from a $500,000 fridge while people are being evicted from their homes and starved to death, all is fine. Yeah, and my favorite part about that was AOC said, like, we're on a 24-hour callback where we can be called back within 24 hours to convene in the House and all that, but none of that's fucking happening. The Democrats shut down, the Congress shut down for 2 months, right? I think 7 weeks, for 7 weeks, right at the beginning of this eviction, right as the eviction moratorium was ending. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing. They know that they are all retreating. What are they doing? They're doing the thing that I exactly told you that they would do. They're retreating into their gated communities. They are retreating into their mansions and their homes and their houses. They are retreating so that all of these people who are evicted can't come and find them, right? That they can't just go to Congress, surround Congress, and demand something be done because there's nobody there, right? They know exactly what they're doing. This is exactly how they deal with all of their problems. That, well, the eviction moratorium's up. Let's all abandon ship, abandon these people, escape, so that we can't be surrounded by the homeless that we are generating and creating. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. And somebody like AOC standing up and being like, oh, we'll keep fighting and all that. She looks like an idiot. Like, she looks like an idiot at this point. Like, she is completely co-opted by the Democratic Party. She's completely co-opted by the infrastructure of the capitalist death cult. And her role, her job that she is doing on behalf of the capitalist death cult is to funnel revolutionary voices away from the streets, away from the centers of power, into the Democratic Party so that they can be buried there, right? That's her role. That's her job, is to galvanize energy so that if a Martin Luther King shows up, right? If any of these guys show up, they'll just be funneled into the Democratic Party where they will die. And I don't mean like literally we'll shoot them, but just like nothing's happening, right? That after it's taking people longer than I expected to come to the conclusion, but like the Biden administration is going to do nothing. This $2 trillion infrastructure bill that they keep touting and like pounding on the thing about is now $500 billion. Right? It's been completely gutted. It doesn't involve climate change at all, right? The whole thing is a complete disaster. And the idea that electoral politics are going to resolve anything in America, I think is a joke. I think that's a joke. Like, at this stage in the game, the only politics that matters is the politics on the street. And to galvanize people to surround the halls of power. And that's it. That's it. If you don't do anything other than that, like, if you do anything other than that, you are wasting your energy and you are wasting your time in America. 100%. like 100%. There's no other option now. That it's all a fairy tale. It's all a fantasy. Like the American political structure is primarily theatrical. That's not actually a political structure. It's just theatrical. It's there to deceive and delude you. And as long as you keep funneling your energy into that system, the system will continue to thrive because it requires human sacrifice to continue. I want to be a Navy SEAL. Should I go for it, Canadian Commie? Absolutely not, Mystic. Absolutely not. I am really strong, and I'm quite seriously saying to you, do not put your energy towards the American military in any way. The American military, straight up, is a more terrifying force than Adolf Hitler's Nazis. They are one of the primary polluters on the planet, leading to enormous climate change disruption and death. And every action that they are taking is a war of aggression to destroy a populace. And they've done it all throughout the world, dude. Like, here's some of their current operations that they are currently involved in. The genocide of the Gaza Strip, as well as the genocide throughout the West Bank, right? The genocide of the Palestinian people in Israel, the nuclear armament of Israel to continue suppressing, the assault on Jordan, Syria, into Egypt, not to mention the Yemeni genocide that's going on throughout here. Let's not forget the ICE genocide that's occurring along the Mexican border and all throughout America. The concentration camps that exist all throughout there. What else? Right, the destruction of Libya is one of the most evil acts that the American military has ever done, and perhaps one of the most evil acts that has occurred in the last century. The destruction of Libya, turning it from the most successful nation in the continent of Africa, a socialist nation run by a socialist, now has open-air slave trading, which, of course, the capitalist death cult is in favor of slave trading, so that's fine by them. The only allies that they have in this region are literally Saudi princes. The destruction of Iraq, the destruction of Afghanistan alone. The Hague has declared America a rogue terrorist state. The Hague being the organization that was responsible during the Nuremberg trials of trying the Nazis. Do not join the jackboots of this imperial nation. There's a reason why suicide rates are going through the roof, bud. There's a reason why people are murdering and executing themselves after joining the American military, right? It's because they are turning from being kids who play video games and being like, oh yeah, Call of Duty, that's the same thing, and going off into war, into recognizing and realizing that, oh, they are the stormtroopers of the Imperial Army. And then when they come home, they get abandoned by the populace, they get abandoned by their government, and then they shoot themselves. So, don't do it. Strongly suggesting you don't. Yeah. Canada to spend up to $5 billion on armed drones for pinpoint strikes, which we know because of the recent whistleblowing. The fellow who, I forget his name offhand, but he blew the whistle on the drone strike program. The key piece of information is that 90% of targets hit with drone strikes are not the intended target. They are bystanders. So literally every time a drone strike has ever happened in the history of the drone strike program, 90% of the time it's murdering some innocent bystander. It's literally killing civilians. So it's and of course the whistleblower who gave us that information is going to spend 4 years in prison for it. So it's that's the American empire for you. Prime Minister Matthew Green, yeah. Like liberty, Vince? I know, Vince, you join us? All this. Let's see what you guys have been... after 2015, 2019, I have zero faith they've got it. Yeah, the NDP's ads are so... Because they're so masturbatorial. That's what it is. They're so insular. They're completely speaking to the choir. And masturbatorial is the word to use. It's like this self-congratulatory... self-aggrandizing, self-inflating, just like soft piano music. This like condescending tone that they take, with their like little winks and their nudges and their smiles and their elbow rubs and all this kind of stuff, and like the talking down. I see a lot of talking down in NDP ads, and like people generally vote with their gut, right? People generally vote with their gut, and what you want to be doing right now is scaring the shit out of people, right? You want to be scaring the shit out of people. And don't pretend like it makes you better to not use fear, right? It doesn't make you better, right? It makes you a loser. That's what it does. People respond to emotions. People respond to fear. And right now, people need to be scared. They need to be scared of a conservative party that's worse than the Nazis, right? Because at least the Nazis didn't even attempt to destroy the entire species. And they need to be terrified of a liberal party that's lying to you every second of the day. Who are attempting to convince you that the tsunami that's coming to wipe you out and your family out can be defeated by throwing a straw at it, right? Like, no, if the NDP can't get their fucking act together and actually run a campaign, then what the fuck? What the fuck are we doing? I don't like communists ruling me, but if it's Canadian commie, no problem. Oh, well, I'm getting to you, bud. Sarah Palin was not crazy. Sarah Palin was in a crazy situation, okay? You're talking about like an unknown Alaskan governor who gets picked up to be the vice presidential candidate, specifically for optics. It was only for optics, right? She was in way over her head. She was in way over her head. She didn't know anything about Washington politics. She didn't have any allies. She didn't know anyone, right? And she herself is such a, like, not outrageous, but she is who she is, right? Like, she just is who she is. So she comes across as crazy, but the truth of the matter is that it's the situation that's crazy. Anyone would have looked crazy, dude. Anyone would have looked crazy, right? That she was just like... Because she's just like a rural housewife, mainly. Like, she's just a rural housewife, a governor of a small community, right? Like, she's not supposed to be the vice president of the United States. Like, that's not what it's supposed to be. You know? And the idea that anybody thought that it was a good idea to put her there, right? That's what's crazy. Like, that's what's crazy. Sarah Palin's story, my heart does go out to Sarah Palin, because, like, I anytime I've ever listened to her, anytime I've seen her, she seems like she's just kind of a good old boy, right? Like just like America, and I see Russia from my house, you know? Like, that's not crazy. It's kind of charming in a way, right? It's just everybody knew that she wasn't qualified or fit for the position. That she was just put there for like the optics. And like, that's what's crazy. That's what's crazy. Dan is saying that power isn't there. I don't know what we expect politicians to even achieve right now without upward pressure. Like communists in the US in the 30s, veterans march on Washington, think we are reliving the Gilded Age when capitalists did nothing for people. It would be nice if they just took the hardest line stances and risked losing their seats over it, as the general public won't be supportive of the spin out of it. I don't know if real MLKs should show up. As Chris Hedges said, the radical leaders are in prison. Yes, that's exactly right, dude. That's exactly right. I think you're really onto something there. Like, I mean, the way the legal structure works, the legal structure in such that it exists in America, like the police can just pick black people up and put them in jail. Like, they can just do that, right? So if you have like a radical leader going around, like, I'm watching a film right now, and I'm doing it kind of in steady chunks, called Black Klansman, right? And it's the story of a fellow who, a black man who is part of the police department, who kind of maneuvers his way into the Klan. And he uses, like, he and a white man are partners, and so when they need to go anywhere, the white guy goes, and when they're talking on the phone, it's the black guy on the other end, right? And the thing that really strikes me about it is that you have like revolutionary black speakers walking around talking, and I'm like, and it really does dawn on me like, oh yeah, these guys, the police wouldn't like send in an undercover guy. They wouldn't like listen and try to figure stuff out. They would just get him. They would just pick him up and put him in a prison cell. And that would be the end of his story. And that's what the modern police force is doing today. And you're absolutely right. Like, I don't know if the real MLKs could show up even, because they're in prison, right? They're in prison. I know, buddy. I know. The federal penitentiary system is scary. It's scary, and we should bark at it. Bark at it, as I bark at it. And so, like, and the only way this kind of thing is going to be defeated at all is if people show up on the streets and demand that it end, right? That's what it is going to take. It's going to take, like, that. I think the scariest part about the George Floyd protests and riots was that it wasn't exclusively black people doing it. I think that really scared the shit out of the establishment. I think the establishment saw that there were lots of white people, lots of Latinos, lots of... It was like a very diverse group of people who were coming out and participating in those protests and those riots. It wasn't strictly one racial group, right? I think that scared the establishment a lot, because it really showed me, certainly, that the argument of the gender politics and the racial politics is starting to break down in America. That if you went to any of these protests or riots and looked around, you saw it wasn't a bunch of like Black Panthers, it wasn't a bunch of black dudes like storming the streets like fists in the air. It was like a multiracial, diverse group of people. You saw it instantly, and it's intrinsic inside of someone to be like, oh, well, this is clearly a class issue. Like, this is clearly about class, right? And the establishment does not want to have a discussion about class. That's why you have Stephen Harper walking around calling Marxists nihilists, right? Because they have no more ideological ammunition. They're out of ammunition. They've got nothing left to say, right? Their system is a failure. It has no credibility. And so they're saying really dumb, stupid, juvenile, pedantic shit. Marxists are nihilists. Yeah, dude, that's what's going on, you fucking loser. What is Justin Trudeau's legacy going to be? He's a placeholder for the state. Like, that's what it is. He's just a placeholder for the state. Like, he banned straws. Like, that is actually something that legitimately is happening. That, like, plastic bags and straws are going to be banned. And it's like, oh, okay. So that's probably his legacy, right? And because people are not going to remember this pandemic and the response of... People don't... Like, that's not how people think in terms of politics. People get amnesia really quickly when it comes to politics. They forget very quickly. Because it's hard to remember. It's hard to maintain the memory. And, like, so genuinely, I think his legacy is actually going to be, like, straws. Like, banning straws. Like, I worry that people think I'm saying this of Justin Trudeau to, like, kind of diminish him or make fun of him somehow. But no, I think it's quite legitimate. Like, he's been so ineffectual and so weak as a leader that his legacy is literally going to be that he managed to ban straws. Like, that's it. Yeah, Yellow Vest worked in France. It works. Solidarity works when you threaten the establishment. But that requires political literate population. Yeah, Canada and the US don't. You're right about that. We need a politically engaged and educated public to protest and revolt against the oppressors. I mean, it's steadily happening. I feel like here in Canada, the leadership got really scared. A couple of years back, there was the climate change rallies, and those climate change rallies were drawing hundreds of thousands of people. Like, they were massive. They were not small. And the idea that that scared the leadership. Like, that scared them. Because those sorts of events are terrifying for politicians. Like, imagine if you have a protest of 100,000 people, it only takes like 1% of 100,000 people to make the collective decision, let's go to these guys' houses, right? And you've got a major problem, right? So, like, those sorts of major gatherings and those sorts of major riots and major protests that's the most terrifying thing. And that's the only way politicians do anything, right? Politicians aren't going to do anything out of the goodness of their heart. They're not going to do anything because you like or they like you or any of that kind of stuff, right? They will only do stuff if they are scared of you. That's it, period, full stop. They're only going to do stuff if they are scared of you. And we need to make them afraid, and the only way to make them afraid is to get thousands of people in the streets and like show up at these guys' houses. Like I've really noticed something in the Canadian populace is that showing up at people's houses is seen as impolite. Oh no, shouldn't do. We've got to separate these two things. And I'm just like, dude, when they're abandoning people to the streets, yeah, show up to their houses. And like we're so weak though. Like the populace is very gullible and weak, and they just refuse to confront anything, right? So yeah, big surprise the society is decaying. Macht, the American military is the cogs with which the imperialist machine runs. Yeah, it's a fairly poetic way of saying it, but completely accurate. Dan, War Machine is being automated and gamified. It is absolutely being gamified. Like, literally the remotes that they are creating remote controls for drones to be Xbox controllers. Like, that's what they're doing. So, it's obviously being gamified, right? And they're obviously finding ways to, like, build simulations that really do feel the same as, you know, piloting one of these drones. It's just, you know, in a video game, at least when you shoot your target, it actually, you know, objective completed. Whereas in the real world, 90% of the time, you just kill someone else. Where's all these people saying we can't afford UBI, but $5 billion on remote-controlled death drones is something we can afford? Yeah, exactly. Tina Fey did do the best Palin, Ninetales, for sure. For sure. That was like a little gift, eh? That was like a little gift. One of my great sadnesses, one of the great things I feel like we as a people missed out on was that Chris Farley died young, and so he wasn't around at the same time that Rob Ford and Doug Ford were in power. Because can you imagine, right? Chris Farley alive today doing an impression of Doug Ford? I just know somewhere in this great universe with its multiple dimensions and all of this, that this is happening, and it just, yes. Hey Ruth, how you doing today? Good to see you. Plastic chip bags, signs, egg cartons, cigarette butts, bottles, containers, bottle caps, disposable cups, cutlery, etc. still there. There's also still paper, cardboard, glass, and metal. Yeah. Or show up at Timmy's in Etobicoke. Dougie spends most of his time there, yeah. Farley as Doug Ford would be perfect. Yeah, right? Like that's the great shame. And a great reminder to all of us, right? That like, sure you feel like things are bad now. Sure you feel like things are rough at the moment. But who knows, man, in 10 years' time, there could be this golden opportunity. So don't give up the ghost. Don't go out young. Don't go out yet. There might be this great thing that's just dangling right there that like you could just grab a hold of and just elevate you. Like that would be legendary, eh? Like Tina Fey being Sarah Palin is legendary. Like it's just this legendary connection where here's Tina Fey and Sarah Palin walks on stage and they look at each other and they look fucking identical, and the impression is spot on. Right? And they just like do it, and you're like, how did the stars aligned? And Chris Farley being like Rob Ford or Doug Ford. Like, can you imagine Chris Farley? All they'd have to do on Saturday Night Live to make this one of the greatest sketches of all time is literally do the question period where they're asking Rob Ford, do you smoke crack? Like, do it. Directly in front, like just on camera, and just have Chris Farley, you know, and then they ask him the question and be like, yes, I did smoke crack. Like just being Chris Farley, but as Rob Ford, it would be hilarious. It would be hilarious. Hey Crouching, how you doing, bud? There's a parody of Chris Farley as Rob Ford on YouTube called Rob Ford the Movie. It's hilarious. Oh man, are you serious? Let's do it. Let's do it. Rob Ford, the movie. Let's do it, bud. It's only 2 minutes. Let's go.
This
Let's go.
is Filmora 9.
I'm glad. Yeah. Filmora 9. They keep trying to sell me Filmora 9. This is what I use to do all my editing. I already bought it. I don't know why they're. Anyway, skip it. This film has been restricted.
I'm stoned. Do you have any idea how fast you were going?
I guess I was going about 65 tops.
7 miles an hour. And normally when I stop people, they pull onto the shoulder.
Spent a little too much time puking off balconies. You're a huge embarrassing failure. This town doesn't even know what's about to happen. I just want you to know that as long as I'm around, I'm gonna bust my butt to make sure that every last one of you always has a job. You can put 6 packs of soda in here?
Want one?
I'd better not. He says rectum damn near killed him.
This
The
is
whole car
great.
smells like beer. They're never gonna believe I wasn't drinking. He must be all hopped up on crack cocaine. Just wake up, slut! I can't stop! Oh my God! It's a police report. Front page.
Sorry, Rob. You can't be coach anymore.
They're doing a really good job
this
of this.
job.
This is really good.
Can't afford
Okay. I'm gonna stop because I'm getting a little bit worried that there might be like a copyright thing or something. So, but this is brilliant. This is brilliant. Oh man, Rex Murphy did a touching piece on Rob Ford, posted on YouTube. Fuck you, Rex Murphy. Fuck you, Rex Murphy. Oh, fuck you, Rex Murphy. Now I gotta look this shit up. Fucking Rex Murphy. Rob Ford. Fuck you, Rex Murphy. Oh, remembering Rob Ford. Oh my god. Fuck. I'm gonna grumble through this whole fucking thing. I'm gonna be super mean to this goddamn old white supremacist Rex Murphy. Let's go.
God must have loved the common man. He made so many of them.
Rex Murphy, goddamn you, with your like well-educated quotes. Here's a guy who has read all of the literature written by old white dudes and who really loves old white dudes. And he just starts with this like absolutely great quote. God must have loved the common man. He made so many of them. Fuck you, Rex Murphy.
Words of the wisest of presidents, Abraham Lincoln. And part of Lincoln's wisdom was that he looked with unabbreviated appreciation upon ordinary men and women, the multitude of everyday people for whom life is hard, work relentless, disappointments many. Well, the common man lost a buddy yesterday. Rob Ford, the impresario mayor of Toronto, fell to an unconquerable cancer. Mr. Ford was one of the most remarkable ordinary people Toronto has ever produced.
Fuck you. Fuck you, Rex Murphy. Rob Ford was the son of a rich, former politician. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and you are only maintaining this fucking grift that Rob and Doug Ford perpetrated on the populace, that they're somehow part of the common man. Fuck you, Rex Murphy. Get the fuck out of here. Jesus Christ, I'm done with that. I can't keep going with that. Fucking Rex Murphy. Like, literally, like, oh, yeah, Rob Ford, just a normal, common man, born as a millionaire. Yeah, born as a millionaire to a daddy who used to be in office. Yeah, a political dynasty. Part of that political dynasty where he and his brother, both in politics, since the day they were born and given millions of dollars and a license to do anything they wanted, common men. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fucking Rex Murphy. What a hack. No. Rex Murphy is not a hack. I have to continuously remind myself. Rex Murphy is a well-educated, well-spoken, well-read white supremacist. That's who fucking Rex Murphy is. God damn, man. That legit made me angry. That fucking Rex Murphy's walking around being like, yeah, he was a common man. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I have done no less than 4 videos on Rex Murphy. Rex Murphy pisses me off to a degree that you can't possibly imagine. The idea that he's actually popular, like it actually gives me hope that I will become popular, because if an obvious idiot like a well-read moron like Rex Murphy can become popular, then literally anybody can become popular, right? Like, all you got to do is speak fancy and and wind a yarn, and people will just be like, oh wow, he's so smart. Oh wow, he's so smart. And it's fucking, no, he's not. He's the stupidest. Rex Murphy is dumb, guys. Like, he is fucking dumb. It just drives me fucking crazy. Oh, it just drives me fucking crazy. When the Rob Ford crack scandal was happening, everyone was making those stupid Bitmoji things. I created a fake Facebook account just to make Robbie Bitmoji bits. Funny as hell while it lasted. Yeah. Yeah, he was common, all right, just not in the way he meant. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I wanted to show this right at the beginning when I was talking about depression. Someone in my Discord put this on up. If you feel like you don't fit in this world, it's because you are here to help create a new one. I think this is you, Misty. I think I'm gonna credit you to this, and it just like, I usually don't go for this kind of stuff. I usually don't go for these, like, motivational sort of floofy kind of things. But this one really spoke to me because I often feel like an outsider. I've always felt like I don't fit in. Like, I've always felt that way, right? Like, I was evangelical Christian in, like, a secular world, and now I'm, like, a communist in, like, a pro-capitalist world. But this sentiment that says, like, I feel like I don't fit in, it's because you're here to help create a new one, it really helped in the moment, like, galvanize my purpose and my perspective that, like, that's right. I do feel like I want to create a new and better world. Like, the world that we have is dumb. Like, we all know that this is dumb, right? Like, anybody fucking standing up being like, oh yeah, this world's working out. Like, I just feel like if you're standing up saying that, like, I don't even know what to call these people, right? What do we call people who are legitimately standing there pretending like everything is fine, right? Like, what do we call these people anymore? I don't want to call them boomers, right? Because that's inaccurate. I know plenty of boomers who see that shit's gone wrong, right? And who lament sort of the state of things. And it's not even fair to call them capitalists, because there are many like socialists and many like non-capitalist people who are still walking around in La La Land. Like, neoliberals, I guess, bootlickers. Yeah, Andrew, that's sort of fair. Yeah, just neolibers. Now I'm just imagining a bunch of bears who have, like, created a like honey economy, right? Like, a bunch of Winnie the Poohs who are, like, structuring this, like, honey economy where all of the bears are gathering honey, but only one bear gets the honey. And it's 100% like Winnie the Pooh running like a Ponzi scheme grift so that he can have all the honey for himself, while all the other Winnie the Poohs are the ones that are going out and doing all the work. Oh my God, you guys, I think I figured out how to get Disney to talk about neoliberalism. Holy shit. Just get a whole bunch of Winnie the Poohs, right? Now you go out there and you get all the honey, and then you bring it here and put it in a big honey pile, and then all of that honey will trickle back down to you. And then they could have like a sweet little song. All these Winnie the Poohs going out and harvesting honey, right? Stumbling over one another, being a bunch of idiots, right? And then they all pile it into the big honey pile, right? And then Winnie the Pooh is he's got it all, and it's all behind like a locked gate or something. And then he's like, "Okay, everyone, line up to get your honey." And then he gives them like a teaspoon of honey, just like a little drop, the smallest little drip to go into their like little bowl or their cup, right? And that's all they get, and Winnie the Pooh gets all the rest of the honey, right? And they're all supposed to go and continue working in this. But then, of course, all the other Winnie the Poohs revolt, and there's like a big like uprising, and they knock it all over. And then you get then you get like a good solid like 5 minutes of a bunch of Winnie the Poohs sitting and eating honey. Right? Everybody sitting and just all these Winnie the Poohs doing all the adorable, stupid Winnie the Pooh nonsense bullshit. Just constantly like tripping over themselves and falling over themselves, getting all this honey, while the like neoliberal Winnie the Pooh is like, "Oh bother, oh bother." Yes, this should absolutely happen. This should absolutely happen. And you could call it, like, Winnie the Pooh, neoliberalism. Yes! This should absolutely happen. Disney, make it and pay me royalties. And also, you can be in on this, Crouching. Let's go. You're the spark. You're the spark that lit this fire. Yeah, brilliant. Hey, Mark, how you doing, bud? How you doing, bud? I think that's the clip, eh? I think that's the clip. I think I clip that and put that online and be like, yeah, come to our fucking live stream. This is what we fucking talk about. The owl would be the one trying to get a UBI. You know, Pooh. If you simply distributed all of the honey into your Winnie the Pooh economy, then everyone would be much happier. Oh, I don't know about that, Owl. Won't all of these other Pooh Bears just be lazy? A neo-libmare? Absolutely. A 2% finder's fee? Reasonable. Completely reasonable, bud. Let's get this all typed. All we need to come up with is why is it that there are all these Winnie the Poohs? What event has occurred so now there's a whole bunch of Winnie the Poohs? Maybe just Christopher Robin just dumps a whole bunch of Winnie the Poohs into the bin, right? Like he just like shows up and he's like, look, I got a whole bunch of bears, and he dumps them, and then now there they are, right? Yeah, write a script. You could pitch it. Yeah, I'm sure that Disney would absolutely love to fund and animate and put forward an anti-neoliberal message. I'm sure that they would absolutely be on board with explicitly saying that neoliberal capitalism is a failure. I'm absolutely sure that Disney would for sure get on board with that, right? Like, this is the big thing, like, and this is the reason why I continuously say, get down into the streets. Get down into the streets. You've got to organize and get into the streets, because these guys are never going to do that kind of shit. Like, they're never, ever going to do that kind of shit. They actively work against that. Any kind of anti-capitalist thing that happens just in spite of it, right? I've talked about this before, like Joker, for example, right, is an anti-capitalist, anti-societal pitch. But that only really breaks through because the capitalists are so focused on, like, oh, Joker origin story. Oh, it's a Joaquin Phoenix. Oh, we're going to make a ton of money. And they did. And they did, right? They made a ton of money incidentally funding something that ends up being anti-capitalist propaganda, right? But it's so rare. It's so rare. So they're never, ever going to do that shit. Like, expect huge unrest and riots once evictions in the U.S. spread like wildfire. Capitalism is on the last legs, folk. Yeah, one hopes. One hopes. Christopher Robin is a scientist that made robot copies. Oh, God. And then it's just like, now we're getting into, like, Winnie the Pooh zombie, right? Like, geez. Like, it's like literally Literally just a whole bunch of zombie robot, like Winnie the Poohs. Oh boy. Oh bother. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. It was a good laugh. Oh, the Olympics. Always good to report on the Olympics. China now in the lead. 32 gold medals, well above the United States. I don't think the United States can catch up any longer in terms of gold medals. So I feel like this race is pretty much in the bag, especially because there's only, I think, 4 days left in the Olympics. Of course, the United States is going to report it as total medals, right? That's 100% what they're going to do. They're gonna be all about that. Okay, guys, I'm just going to pause for 1 second. Maybe do I have a video prepped? You know what? Yes, I do. Climate deception dossiers. I have something to talk about with this, but I'll just show this for now.
The reality of global warming began making front-page headlines nearly 30 years ago. That's when the world's largest fossil fuel companies launched a 3-decade campaign to deceive the public and delay action on climate change. In 1995, a secret memo commissioned from a scientist at Mobil Oil and distributed to many of the world's largest fossil fuel companies warned that the reality of human-caused warming cannot be denied. The companies denied it anyway, and laid plans to confuse the public about the issue for decades more. Leaked internal memos reveal a campaign of deception that has even included forging letters from nonprofit groups, such as the NAACP, and sending them to key members of Congress just before a crucial vote on federal climate action in 2009. And documents surfacing as recently as 2015 show that fossil fuel interests, including ExxonMobil, secretly spent more than $1 million funding a supposedly independent, contrarian climate scientist at the Smithsonian Institution to make it appear as though there were controversy about climate science where none existed. Global warming is already undeniably harming our communities. Isn't it time to ask, how are fossil fuel companies getting away with their decades of lies? See for yourself in the climate deception dossiers and read the internal company documents. It's time to stop the decades of deception. Join the movement to hold fossil fuel companies accountable for their actions.
So, that document that they were talking about there is free. You can go read it. Of course, it's a 56-page document, right? It's a 56-page document. And I think, here's a project that I think I'm going to start moving forward on. This is just a brainstorm that has come in today. And this is going to be a long-term project, surely. I am going to read, because I've read, whoops, where's that coming from? Oh no, get out of here. I've read probably about half of it. This thing reads like a crime novel. Like, this thing straight out reads like a friggin' crime novel, where they're straight out just like, what's some of the headlines? A pattern of deception, right? Like a corporate intent to deceive, this kind of thing. So this document, it reads like a crime document. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually read it out loud, and then members in my community, in the Discord, I'm trying to galvanize people to get together to actually get clips and videos and pictures and stuff to actually do like a video, like a proper video, so that we can create something that is entertaining and interesting for the common man to actually watch. And that's sort of my plan or my agenda, because there's all kinds of stuff in here, guys. Like the coal industry posing as nonprofits. Like, this is literally like it's a crime a mystery novel, and they've got like all of these documents and all this brilliant stuff. So I'm going to sit down and actually start recording some of this tonight, and then hopefully put together some video and clips and things like that, and do like an edit. Again, this is a long-term project, as you can see. It's a very, very thorough, even if you don't get into, like, it's 30 pages, I think. 30 pages would be, like, about what it is, and then you need to do an introduction, and then probably, like, in-between stuff and all that kind of stuff. It would be like a really... This I think is the project that I want to spend some time on. And so if you are in my Discord, there should be a channel or a channel in that Discord called Projects, and that's where we're putting a lot. Like if you see something and you think it could go well into this document, just funnel stuff into there. If you'd like to be part of that, it costs you $1 to get into the Discord, right? You just donate $1 to my Patreon. We'll get you into the Discord. You can join up and involve yourself in the project. This is a great opportunity to say, hey, give me money, right? Like if you've got a dollar jangling around in your pocket, if you are donating $1 and you think, I could do $2, think about upping your donation, all of that. Do your best. I know we're all struggling right now, but these are the sorts of projects that I want to start getting involved in, and I'm really glad that I've moved away from doing like the daily walk and talk and just now doing clips, because it's freed me up to actually do this kind of stuff. So, link to the document. You got it, Ward. You got it, Ward. Absolutely. It is also in the Discord, Ward, but I'll for sure link it, because this probably one of the most important documents that have ever been made about climate change, especially for people like me who genuinely believe that these people should be incarcerated. Like, I don't actually think we're taking climate change seriously until we have incarcerated these people. What do we got? Xi Jinping will play Winnie. I've never understood that. I've never understood why anyone thinks that putting Xi Jinping's face on Winnie the Pooh is somehow an insult. Like, if I was the leader of a world and I saw that they were putting me on Winnie the Pooh, I'd be like, great. There's so much worse shit that they could do. And, like, putting me on Winnie the Pooh would be, like, amazing. Everybody loves Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh's great. Yeah, we really better hurry. I mean, we literally only have a decade left. Yeah. CDC announces limited targeted eviction moratorium until October. Okay, hold on. Wait a second. Onward. CDC announces limited targeted eviction moratorium until early October. The resolution will stop short of another nationwide eviction freeze, but instead will be more limited in scope, targeted to places with high COVID spread. A source familiar with the effort said the announcement would cover 80% of U.S. county and 90% of the U.S. population. So what that tells me is that they know they need to do the trickle out, the way that the Trudeau government is doing a trickle out, right? That they can't just like abandon a million people and throw them out onto the streets. But of course, this resolution is coming so late that it's all like there have already been people who have been displaced, and so those people have been displaced, and then you'll have a group of people who are like, oh, thank God, I didn't actually get evicted. I was able to kind of stay, so there's been that moratorium. But then they'll loosen it, right? So it'll be like 80% of U.S. counties and 90% of the U.S. population, and then it'll be like 75% of U.S. counties and 85% of the U.S. population. And then next month, 70%. And then next month, 60%. And then next month, right? So it'll be a steady trickle out of abandonment, which is the neoliberal strategy, right? Is to trickle out the abandonment. That you don't want to have big cutoff moments. You want to abandon people slowly. So there's this trickling effect. And so, you only have 100 people on the streets instead of 10,000, right? And so those 100 people look around and they go, oh, well, we're so weak and disconnected, and then they're forced to scrabble around and find whatever they can find or die or whatever. And then next month, the same thing happens. So you never give them the opportunity to actually look around and see, oh, we all got fucked all at once. Let's just grab hands right here, right now, right? Just don't give them the opportunity to do that. Yeah, Ruth. Ruth says, I unfortunately think it's tipped the wrong way already, and that's a big concern. That's a big concern. I was just thinking today, the Mayan calendar, the end of the world was supposed to happen in 2012, right? And I was just thinking today, maybe that's true. Maybe the world did end in 2012, right? Maybe that was the year that the tip over happened. And now there's nothing to be done about it. That the world has ended. Now we're just kind of, we're just in the spiral, and we're just figuring out what to do with our time now. right? And I, for one, I'm not that interested in selling stupid toys to dumb idiots who refuse to actually, like, you know, hug their children on the way down. But on the other side of that coin, I do think that, like, I have to believe in some small measure that the Earth wants to be in this condition of fostering life. It clearly wants to be that way. That left to its own devices, that is exactly what it did, right? That nobody did anything about it, nobody adjusted anything, nobody turned any knobs or dials or anything. It was just left to its own devices, and it created a paradise. It created a world where where life was able to flourish, right? And it's believable to me that should we cease doing this activity that is tipping the balance and unbalancing it, should we stop doing that activity, that it will gravitate back towards the condition that it obviously wants to be in. Like, it obviously wants to be in this condition. It wants to be this way, right? Like, whether you're secularist or whether you're a theologian or any of that kind of shit, right? It obviously, whatever the rule set is, whatever the structure of this place is, it obviously wants to be this way. And so I have to believe that if we just stopped acting like a bunch of fucking morons, if we just stopped acting like a fucking pack of goddamn barbaric sociopaths, if we stopped acting like these chaos death knights, that the Earth would go, oh, okay, good, I'm not being poisoned anymore. I'm just going to revert back to my initial state, or my base state, or whatever you want to fucking call it. And I feel like we have to stay that way. I think we have to keep holding on to that hope, or else our enemies are right about us. I think that that's really the truth, is that if we don't grab a hold of that hope, even in the face of the absurdity of what is coming our way, if we don't cling on to the hope that things can stabilize, that the Earth can heal itself, if we don't cling on to that, then we really are nihilists, right? Then we really are what they say we are. And I just don't want to give them the satisfaction. Yeah, homelessness is tied right in with climate change without a doubt. Well, it's all like it's a small group of people who are doing the most amount of the polluting, and this small group of people can't exist without homeless people, right? They can't exist without people living in poverty. They can't, like, you can't have this kind of extravagant wealth without people living in desperate straits. That it is all connected in that way. Oh, look at you, DM. You're always my hype man. If you people feel rich, donate 20. Oh, that'd be incredible. That would be incredible. I do have like 2 people who are donating 20 or more, and bless their hearts for doing so. Bless their hearts for doing so. I always feel a little bit odd about, like, I don't want to out people. I don't know. I should talk to them about it. Anyway. Yeah, document is dated from 2015. Yeah. Like, I mean, that the wheels of time move slowly. Like, this has been a multi-generational issue, right? Like, and these guys go back all the way to, like, 1965. They've got information back from 1965. So, like, and I the only thing that I'd say, like, I can't believe it took me this long to find it. It took me 6 years to even come across this document. That's how hard these guys work to bury this information, right? Like, this document should be, like, front page news. Like, this should be a well understood document. People should know about this document. It's pretty telling that you don't. Onward, re-evictions. They want to keep everyone on edge because anything they do needs to be done grudgingly so people won't get too comfortable with it. Yeah. Well, that's just it, right? Like, the only time that they're willing to give even the most meager crumbs is at the very end of a, like, grueling fight. And they know that everything they do has to be a grueling fight so that the populace gets exhausted with it. And and will only respond in the most to the most meaningful things, right? Like if you got a politician who actually responded to the demands of the populace, like, well, the capitalists would cease to exist, right? That would be basically the first demand. Yeah, give us a trail of crumbs, we don't panic into a riot mode. Yeah, that's liberalism. That's what liberals do. That's what liberalism's all about. Manage the misery and don't spook the herd. Yeah. Hey, Dave, how you doing? So we're in the news cycle. Aliens gave life here. Panspermia. Oh, the alien gives life idea. I don't know about that. I actually feel like the aliens created life here theory stands in defiance of the power of the Earth. That the Earth itself is quite powerful, and I feel like people want people want to fall into this, alien species giving life to us and all of that kind of thing, because they don't want to actually acknowledge and contemplate and think that the Earth is actually that powerful, right? Like the Earth is incredibly powerful. It's way more powerful than we think, and we definitely don't think about the Earth as a powerful force, right? And even though it obviously is, and so I generally don't think too much or spend too much time thinking about aliens giving us life, because that tends to, in my view, defer away from what's right in front of us, which is that this Earth is incredibly powerful. 5 parrots separated at UK zoo after encouraging each other to swear at guests. Yeah, I read that headline onward. That was hilarious, eh? I love that idea. Just like parrots being like, let's cuss these guys out. I'm like, yeah, let's cuss these guys out. Fuck all these guys. That's amazing. Yeah, I'm with you, Misty. I refuse to believe it's too late. I think the Earth is powerful. And, like, I am a theologian, ultimately. Like, I do think that there are sentient forces that we are not that aware of. And my argument to those forces has always been, what a fucking waste of time. What a waste of your time. You're telling me you did all this, you spent millions of years doing all this kind of stuff, you cultivated a species, you grew us all up to what? Just watch us wipe ourselves out? Boring story. What a boring story, right? Like, that's my argument to some kind of higher power or great power. It's like, come on, you're just gonna wipe us out? Lame story, super boring. Okay, buddy, this is the end of peanut butter. This is the end of your peanut butter, okay, buddy? There's no more peanut butter. This is it. I know, the great lament. We're going to get to the great wine. Okay. I know when I feel that gut thing, it's real. Yeah, have you been to a pub? Just like the people there, no doubt. I agree. My buddy is all that aliens will save us. I don't have the heart to argue that we did this with ourselves through parasitic capitalism. Yeah. Well, and the solution, Dave, is just stop, right? Just stop. Like anybody who you talk to these liberals who are just like, we're going to technology our way out of this, or you talk to people who are like, oh, we're going to do something, right? We're going to transition to a new model or any of this kind of stuff, and I'm literally like, just stop. Like it couldn't be easier. Like, that's the thing that's so fucking stupid about this conversation. Like, it couldn't be easier what we're saying to do. Like, go through your society, find all the waste, stop doing that for a start, right? Like, I don't understand how that hasn't been the first thing that we do. Like, when I go to Times Square, or when I go to Yonge and Dundas Square and I see all these fucking billboards lit up all day long, I'm just like, shut it down. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, we have all these lights on, we have all this crazy fucking shit, and you're telling me that, like, nobody has walked around and been like, shut it down, shut it down, shut it down, shut it down. Like, shut it down. Shut it down, right? And there are obvious things that we could shut down. Plastic toys. Shut it down. Oh, sorry that your 2-year-old doesn't get, like, a little fucking stupid toy made of plastic. Yeah, shut it down, right? Like, there's some real easy, straightforward shit. Plastic bottles, shut it down. Fucking get rid of it. Fucking get rid. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if it means that your bottle of Coke now costs $1.50 instead of $1, right? Too fucking bad. Too fuck. Yet, of course they say lights are a crime deterrent, right? That's the police state is of course going to say that. Like that's what the capitalist death cult is going to say. But you know what else is a crime deterrent? Making sure everyone has food and shelter, and they haven't taken care of that. Like they don't give a fuck about crime deterrents. They don't care. They're just saying there's an excuse to continue polluting. That's it, right? And anybody who falls for their stupid, dumb shit is just an idiot at this stage. Like, fucking what are you talking about? Oh, the lights are a crime deterrent. Well, so is giving people food and shelter. You're not doing that, right? So which is it? Is crime deterrent the reason that you do everything, or is it not? And it turns out that, no, they're very selective with this shit. Oh, if it means that we get, like, you guys got to understand, right? We are talking about a group of people who genuinely do believe that burning fossil fuels is good, right? They think that burning fossil fuels is a good. And like, just fucking shut the shit down. And like, pay people to stay home. Pay people to stay home, right? David Graeber did really excellent work on this in a document called Bullshit Jobs, right? Where big polling data that went through the American working class, and like 40% of people said that their job was irrelevant, right? Think about all the like, power companies need more money for their coffers, all this kind of shit. Yeah, like fuck all these guys. Like fuck all these guys, right? Like it's just getting like cringy and embarrassing at this point. And like I hope that there's a bottom to this gullibility, right? I hope that there's a bottom to how gullible we are, right? That's really what it is. It's like, is there anything we won't believe? Like, is there any stupid, dumb grift we won't completely buy? You know, that's the real question now for me. It's like, because it's got to come to a point, like when your house is on fire, when your children are starving, when you can't find clean water, when the only official that you can find to talk to is a guy who will beat you up and point an assault rifle at you, will they then start to say, maybe something's gone wrong here, right? Like there's got to be a bottom to this fucking gullibility, right? If people could still see the stars at night, they might feel a bit more humble. Well, yeah. You know, Onward, that is actually, like, that's a good old kind of ruralism right there. That's like rural wisdom that I think holds truth, though. Like, people, we're so disconnected from the natural world, right? We are disconnected in many ways to the natural world. You want to go get it, buddy? Got a little ball. Got my pug here. You want to go get it, buddy? Want to go get it? Go get it! Well, dude, you got it. And then he doesn't go get it. Then he just sits there and he turns around and he looks at me. Go get it! He's going to do what he's going to do. And, but we're not... Exactly. Like, the media is owned by these corporate sociopaths. Like, the media is completely bought in. And again, this goes back to the number one thing that I continuously say. It's dangerous to have even a single billionaire in your society, right? Because, like, they reconfigure the society to their imagination, and it turns out that these guys are fucking morons and sociopaths. You refuse to watch CBC and CTV News. They annoy you to no end. I mean, CBC's at least not so bad, right? They're obviously, like, they have to kowtow to the people who are in power at the time, but CTV is, like, completely pro-media. So, like, it wasn't that long ago that the BBC literally released a document saying that, okay, we're actually going to report on climate change as if it just exists, right? Like, it wasn't that long ago that moment happened. And it was a big moment because it was finally an admission by the media class that they were actually going to report on this, but then they just didn't report on anything, right? They just acknowledged that, okay, the both sides debate is over. We're not going to do that anymore. The science is in. Climate change is real. We'll talk about it that way. And then they just don't report on it, right? Like, there are major climate change events that are going on in the world all the time, right? Like, here's BC. Here's your wildfires all through BC, right? They've had another 72 wildfires, 39 in the last 2 days, right? You zoom in a little bit. I'm getting worried for Kamloops, man. I'm getting worried for Kamloops. It's starting to get a little bit serious. Starting to encroach. Not too desperate. Not too desperate. But you can see, right? Like, these sections are getting wider. These sections are getting larger. Like, and all this burn, man. It's getting quite serious. Yeah. Yeah, good God is exactly the right word, dude. And then we pop over and we can take a look at... There's Ontario. Not nearly as dramatic. Not nearly as dramatic, but still fairly dangerous, right? Like, zoom into places like Dryden, Thunder Bay, Kenora. Like, these places could have got eaten by all this. So, like, and they're just not reporting on it. And this ultimately is why. The mainstream media, corporate media, will be abandoned by the populace, because the corporate media can't report on the two stories that everyone cares about. Story one, climate change, right? That they can't report on it because the people who own the media outlets are the people who are perpetuating climate change. They're the same. So they can't report on that. And then they can't report on the goings-on of the billionaire class, because again, they're the same people, and because they can't report on these stories, well, eventually the populace is just going to wise up and move on to alternative sources, and in many ways they already have done that, right? And it's just been the wealthy who have been the ones to create the independent news outlets, right? Your Breitbarts, your InfoWars, Daily Beast. Like, all of these, right-wing kind of Looney Tunes outlets, but they've been able to crop up because they've acknowledged that there is a lot of disdain for corporate media, and they have the money, right? Meanwhile, voices like mine, right, left-wing voices, we don't need fucking money. Like, we don't need fucking money. We got no stability. We got nothing. We're literally just doing it because this is an act of desperation at this point. Right? Like, this is an act of desperation at this point. And if we don't actually, do it, then we're just going to sleepwalk to the apocalypse, because the only alternative media that exists today are owned by psychopaths, right? So we need to erect, an actual independent media that's actually interested in helping the populace in any way. And if we don't do that, and there are people doing it, like Jimmy Dore is doing it, Kyle Kalinske is doing it, but in my view, those guys have gotten a bit comfortable, if you ask me, right? They've gotten a bit comfortable, if you ask me. I shouldn't really say that of Jimmy Dore. I actually really like Jimmy Dore. Like, he always brings the fire. He always brings the fire. I actually really respect that of him. I think he's wise to only do, a once-a-week show. He does once a week on Saturdays. Because I think if he tried to do what he does every single day, or every weekday, the way that I do a show, he would burn himself out pretty quickly. But he always brings the fire, man. I really respect that. Mocked in the 1970s, the New York, United States, there was a power outage. Yep, people were calling New York State Police because they had never seen so many stars in their life and thought it was aliens. That's so fucking stupid, man. That's so fucking stupid. I remember once, so I was a rural kid, right? I grew up in rural Manitoba, and I went to university, and there was this city kid, right? He'd always been in the city, and I remember one day we were sitting, just waiting for something to happen, and he turns to me and he says, hey, John, can I ask you a dumb question? And I was like, sure, bud, I'm down for dumb questions. And he said, where does milk come from? And I looked at him, and he says, no, I know that there's a cow involved somehow, but what's that look like? And so I explained the process of getting milk out of a cow to him, and he was so disgusted by it that he immediately became a vegan. And like, but that was a moment real early in my life. Like, I'm 19, I think, when that happened, where I really realized, like, a lot of what's happening isn't happening because of stupidity, but just ignorance, right? That people just don't know. Like, that guy's not dumb, right? He's just, like, always been in a city. He's never been anywhere but a city. And he's never really, you know, if you don't know, you don't know. And so this story where there's, like, hey, there's stars in the sky. Like, if you've never been outside the city. And, of course, if you're poor, like, it's very easy for me to believe, like, poor people who are just, like, trapped in these ghettos, you know, the lights go out and suddenly there's these stars, and they, like, look, there's actually something really kind of beautiful about that, and something kind of, like, haunting at the same time, and the idea that they would look up. And if you go out into nature and look up at the sky, and you don't know anything about the scientific world, you don't know anything about the science of it, you can really get the idea, like, where they came up with these stories that, like, the stars are your ancestors looking down on you. You can really get where that story came from. You can see, like, anytime you get the two dots, you can see how they would think, yeah, like, those are the eyes of your ancestors looking down upon you, right? You can get that sensation. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, there's people who live and die without seeing stars, except maybe one or two, yeah. Oh, that's a great story. Well, thank you, Aga. Considering I saw my dad field dressing deer in the backyard before I was 10, it takes a lot to shock me. Yeah. It's the people who have become so disconnected from the food chain that they think, like, hunters are bad. Like, that gets me. Like, people who are literally, like, cutting a steak, being like, hunting, whoa. It's like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, that's pretty fucked up. Like, I have way more respect. I am trying to be a vegetarian, and I'm being relatively successful recently because I think the meat industry is bad. But if you go out and you shoot your own deer or something, off you go, bud. Off you go. So, okay, moving off that stuff, let's talk about psychopath Rob Ford, right? And let me be really clear. This guy is a fucking sociopath. Like, I said psychopath there, but he's a fucking sociopath, this guy. So he has been attempting to assault student unions, right? So Ford government's student choice initiative, right, squashed in court again, right? And what it is it's an attempt to destroy the student unions, right? Mandatory fees for student associations collected by universities and remitted to student associations have been in place in universities since the 1960s, Justice Grant Huscroft wrote. Indeed, given the role played by student associations in university governance, the framework is a profound interference in university autonomy, not a mere fettering of the university's discretion, as the minister submits. The so-called Student Choice Initiative, announced in January 2019, would have allowed post-secondary students to opt out of paying for services deemed non-essential. Of course, to the Ford administration, non-essential means literally everything, right? Your health care is non-essential to the Ford administration. Those services include student-led programs such as clubs, campus newspapers, food banks, and other support services, as well as the provision of part-time jobs. This is the same way that they assaulted unions, right? That they allow people to opt out of paying union dues and stuff like this. It's a way to ensure that the only source of funding that these initiatives can get is through wealthy people, right? And it's just another assault on our civil liberties and on our civil society, right? From an administration that obviously wants to destroy the society. And I can say that he wants to destroy the society very cleanly because here's the Ford tracker, PC actions to date, right? This list was updated July 23rd, right? You can download this. Here's the friggin' link. Copy, paste. You can have the link. Spent 10.3 billion less than planned, including 1 billion less on health that could have been spent on monitoring, detecting, and containing the COVID-19 cases. Ford's daughter is an outright, explicit, and avid COVID denier, right? You can go onto her TikTok and watch her denying COVID, or she's an anti-vaxxer. That's who she is. She's an anti-vaxxer. So she denies that the vaccine actually works, right? And she's very outspoken about it. She spreads it around on social media. So big surprise, right? Big surprise the Ford administration could have spent an extra $1 billion. Big surprise they could have spent $10 billion more, because they're a family of anti-vaxxers, right? Straight up, at least she is. Failed to declare a state of emergency over rampant wildfires in Northern Ontario, because Ford doesn't give a fuck. Halted enforcement of licensed trade credentials for 3 years since election, because again, Ford doesn't give a fuck. Faulted by Toronto Star editorial board for catering to business interests and insiders instead of the public. What? Money for me, better than money for you. Right? Blasted by Milton protesters for abandoning concerns about Campbellville Quarry's air, water, and noise pollution. Doug Ford doesn't give a fuck about climate change at all. One of the first things that he did when he came into office was eliminate 700 environmental programs. Right? No, like when I talk about incarcerating climate change, like the climate change deniers and incarcerating people surrounding this document, I'm talking about people like Doug Ford. Like Doug Ford should be incarcerated for what he's done. Absolutely, he should be put on trial for what he's done. But like, oh, you can't do that, set that precedent, and suddenly people will, have to be responded to the will of the populace. Flawed, inadequate, and temporary provincial paid sick day plan experienced little uptake. Will be holding a 1,000-a-burger fundraiser in North Bay, right? Just corruption. Failed to acknowledge or assist disabled adults through pandemic, including in phase 1 of the vaccine rollout. Shunned workers when creating provincial committee to examine the future of work. And just on and on and on it goes, right? On and on and on it goes. Each one as egregious as the last. That, like, literally we have a premier. This is what happens when you vote conservative. Like, this is what happens when you vote conservative. You end up with a dude who is only making decisions based on how much money is it going to make me. That's all he cares about. Like, Doug Ford does not care about anything other than money for me. Me personally, Doug Ford, right? He doesn't give a fuck about helping anybody. He doesn't give a fuck about doing anything to improve the society. In fact, he wants to dismantle the society. And the only thing that he's willing to spend money on is cops. That's it. That's all he's willing to do, is spend money on cops, right? So he's fully willing to erect a police state, right? Well, and big surprise, a fucking college dropout who beats his wife and is a major drug dealer is also a fucking mobster and wants to use the cops as a police state. Big fucking surprise. Oh, but we can't vote Andrea Horvath. Andrea Horvath, I don't know about Andrea Horvath. She seems so, I don't know. She's every single time I hear people talk about Andrea Horvath, I can tell that they're trying to find a way to dislike her because she's a woman. That's really what it comes down to. I don't like to play gender politics. I really don't. I don't like to bring up the gender kind of thing or any of this kind of stuff. But when it comes to Andrea Horvath, it's absolutely the fucking case, right? It's absolutely the fucking case that the only reason that can be perceived about why Andrea Horvath has not become the premier of this place at this stage in the game is because she's a woman. Period. Like what other argument is left, right? What other argument exists outside of this at this stage in the game that people are willing to vote in this terrifying sociopathic drug dealer who beats his wife and is a college dropout? They're willing to vote for him, but, oh yeah, can't vote fucking Andrea Horvath in, who is like a well-educated, well-spoken, articulate woman who fights for the interests of the populace. Like, I wonder what's the holdup. What's the fucking holdup? It is. You're right about that, Aga. Like, well, I don't know. Congratulations on going vegetarian, but it is the only logical step from vegan. Like, I agree with that completely. I'm not at veganism yet. I'm not there yet. I can't say no to cheese. I can't say no to honey. I'm not ready. I'm not there. And but like I really, like, a couple of years ago I started to say, well, what happens if I just don't buy meat? What happens if I just don't buy meat? And start using things like lentils, start using like other things, supplements. Because I make like chili dishes and all that kind of stuff. And I found that to be quite easy. I found that to be quite simple. That transition actually happened almost immediately. The transition I found to be really difficult away from vegetarianism is when I go out to eat. When I go out to eat, it became quite difficult, and so I just kind of ceded and said, like, okay, I won't put up a fuss. Yeah, honey goes both ways. Honey goes both ways. I've seen vegans be like, oh no, it's you're gaining, you're gaining sustenance from the labor of bees, and it's like I've been a beekeeper. Like, I've been a beekeeper, and I'm trying to get a hive set up in Toronto. Like, it's just finding a location is the hardest part, and I would love to do beekeeping again. I don't fall on that idea. Honey is not, like, honey is honey. Honey is honey. The bees make it no matter what you do, and they always make way more than they need. It's just like unless you're going in there and actually robbing them to the point where their hive collapses or something, then, like, I don't know, it's honey is honey. But, like, even, and now it's starting to get easier to go out to eat and be vegetarian. And so there is a and nut for cheese that makes great cheese. There's a as long as you aren't charging the bees rent. I mean, I guess in a way you kind of are, right? Like, that's what the honey is. You take in the honey. It's like you're getting them to pay rent. And, like, again, like, they make that honey, man. Like, they're gonna make that honey no matter what. Like, it's just, and they're not gonna use it. Like, that's I think the big thing. Like, they literally, like, bees exist, in my view, as a gift to us from the earth. Like, bees exist as a gift to us from the earth, without a doubt. Like, without a doubt, I can't think about them or talk about them any other way. That, like, they always make way more honey than they need, right? They'll do that no matter what. They'll do that no matter what. Like, leave them to their own devices. They're not gonna, like, they literally will create. If you just leave a hive of bees to itself, it will just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and fill all of the comb that they make with honey that they'll never eat. They'll never eat this stuff. There's so much. There's so much. And so the only logic to it is just like, the only logic to it is that they're doing it as a gift to the earth itself. That's the only way that I can think about it. Because it's obviously what's happening, right? That it is a gift. And that they want to do it and give it to other creatures as a gift. I can't imagine that they're doing anything else. Okay, I guess this is different. I just stay away from honey. There are vegans and vegetarian options. I always ask from the place anyhow. Just bring it. Of course. They now have almond milk at Tim's. Yeah, that's a big change. Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. Well, almonds bring in another concern, right? Like, almonds are not exactly carbon neutral to themselves, right? Like, something like 60% of almond production happens in California, and they transfer in a ton of bees in order to do that, to pollinate all of that. Bees believe in infinite growth. You know, it's funny, actually, it's kind of true. Like, if the bees took this place over, it would just be like honeycombs and flowers. It would be really like, honey will be the post-apocalyptic currency. Oh, sure. Oh, sure. But I mean, like, it doesn't matter if the bees believe in infinite growth. The Earth does not. Like, that's the thing that I think we're learning now as a species. Well, hopefully we'll learn it. Is that we might believe in infinite growth, but the Earth does not. Right? Like, the Earth will only give us so much. And that our lives here on Earth are also a gift. Like, we exist here at the leisure of the Earth, not the other way around, right? And that's an inversion of sort of the Western Anglo American way of seeing things. That even in like the best possible perspective, where you're standing there being like, we are the wardens and we are the stewards of the Earth, and it's like, I don't think that's true, dude. Like, I think we are largely here at the, like, not at the behest, but just as a gift, right? That if the Earth didn't want us to be here, we wouldn't be here. And someone said earlier, I thought I caught a glimpse of it, said that we are the only sentient creature here. Who did somebody say that? I don't think that's true at all. I think that there's actually quite a few species who have attained sentience to a degree that I think is good enough. Octopus, dolphins, I think for sure. Whales. There's lots of evidence to show that these ocean creatures, who have been around a lot longer than we have attained a degree of sentience that I would definitely say, like, yeah. I think octopus especially, like the stuff that I've seen octopus do and the way that they operate and the way that they act, they're definitely self-aware. They're definitely intelligent. You know, they just don't speak English, and so they don't count. I guess I'm talking about the commercial honey production where the bees are overworked just like us. Well, and Aga, I'm not saying this to try and confront you or to shake anything, but like honey production and bee production is intrinsically tied to almond production. That's why I'm not actually in favor of almond milk, right? Because you want to talk about bees being overworked, you're talking about almond production, right? 60% of almonds come out of California. Something like 80% of all of the bees that exist across the United States are transported to California for that season. The stories of the big colony collapses that happened and really scared the shit out of people happened because of this practice. And really fundamentally it came down to, like, you know, bees aren't people. You know, they don't understand what's happening in the same way that we understand what's happening. And when you transfer a whole shit ton of hives and colonies to a single spot, bees will just bounce. They'll just be like, there's too many of us here. There cannot be this many resources. And they'll just leave. And yet the pesticides, the bee transportation, yeah. I'm not for almond production either. I'm just glad you know about this. You drink oat milk. Yeah, great. We're all trying our best, you know, and it really does come down to, like, because the reality is like our own individual choices are not going to cut it. Like, we know who the polluters are, right? There's like 10 companies that pollute 80% of the pollutants. Like, we know what's happening. The idea that we're all going to stop this just because a bunch of individuals make these individualized decisions is not real, right? Like, these corporations will just adapt. Like, if everybody was suddenly drinking oat milk, right? Like, let's use your oat milk example. But like, if everybody was suddenly drinking oat milk, well, then these polluting corporations would find a way to produce oat milk in the cheapest, most efficient way for their profit model, while still fucking polluting everything, right? That's exactly what would happen. That they would begin producing the things that we as individuals gravitated towards as a compromise to the corporate capitalist power structure, and they would just continue polluting while doing it, because that's the cheapest way to do things, right? The cheapest way to produce anything is to pollute as much as possible, right? And for many people, right, if the more you pollute, the better you are. Oh, sorry guys, I'm itching my nose so much. It's gross. I hate to do that on camera, but it's just so itchy. So itchy. Anyway. Fucking Doug Ford with his dumb fucking thing. Dairy and animal production is going to go bankrupt in the next 10 years. Precision fermentation is on track to be 1/10 the cost. You know, Dave, I always trust, I've come to really trust what you say. You led me to Tony Seba, and that was really hopeful. So hold on. Precision fermentation. 1/10 the cost, eh? Precision fermentation. Here you go. We got exactly the story you're talking about, Dave. Disrupting dairy with precision fermentation. By 2035, industrial cattle farming will be obsolete. The imminent collapse of dairy and cattle industries has been forecast by think tank Rethink X, with precision fermentation protein set to outperform the cow. Independent think tank RX is predicting the most consequential disruption of food and agriculture in theory. According to the London San Francisco-based Research Institute, technology known as precision fermentation is driving down the costs and driving up the quality of modern proteins. Oh, is this like growing meat? Is that what this is? That it's just like we're growing the meat? This is largely due to improvements. Whereas it used to cost $1 million to produce a kilogram of one type of molecule in 2000, technological advancements have reduced that cost to around $100 today. By 2025, we forecast we're going to be competitive with bulk animal protein. This is actually really cool. Like, I am not at all against, like, growing meat. Like, just grow meat, right? Like, I'm completely fine with that. Oh, I know, my buddy. I know. I'm saying the word meat. And my little guy's like, meat? Meat? Sorry, buddy. I don't have any meat for you, buddy. I know. I do, though. I do. I have treats, and I could give him some. I won't do that quite yet. Anywhere you can brew beer, you can make food. Rethink X is his operation. Okay, Dave. Okay. I gotta pay more attention to that specific organization, because, like, when we talk about people who are kind of giving hope for the future, right? Like, I don't see a lot of people actually talking about who's giving us hope for the future. That guy is definitely doing it, though. That guy is definitely, like, charting the path and being like, here's how we could do it. This disruption is inevitable. However, its regulatory pathway is not predetermined. Yeah. Well, and you can... I can see some, like, fucking Republicans getting a hold of this, right? Growing meat, that's unnatural and against God himself. Oh, we're supposed to be torturing and murdering cows for meat. We can't just grow meat in a lab. Right? Yeah, of course, this is where our funding should be going to, like, all of this kind of stuff. And anything to get away from, like, the fact that we are not able to send camera crews into these torture farms, and that's what they are. Like, to me, the becoming vegetarian wasn't it was less about the climate change stuff, which exists and is part of the conversation, sure, but it's about the torture, right? Like, we're torturing these creatures. Like, I just don't know what else to call it. And the fact that we're not allowed to send film crews in to show what's happening in these facilities, that by itself is enough for me to be like, nope, these are torture farms. Like, they need to go away. Oh, Dave is saying, by the way, you just did the math for Q2 EV sales. Across the board, we're seeing sales double and triple every 6 months. Even in Canada, we went from 1.2 last year to 4.6 in Q2. That is good news, Dave. That is good news. That is actually good news, dude. That's really good news. We need more news like that, man. Like, and I know that New Brunswick has passed legislation they're giving a $10,000 grant for buying an EV, which has made EVs in New Brunswick competitive in terms of their initial sale price with fossil fuel vehicles. So it is happening. It is happening. The transition is occurring. And it would. Like, this kind of thing would absolutely cut so much methane gas. Yeah, the market will surpass any governmental policies. Well, but we could, as a government, do more. Like, we could get a government in that actually leans into this shit, right? Like, that's my big thing. That, like, if we took a look at this information that you're laying out and leaned right into it, we could escalate this. We could escalate this in big ways. And, like, but the truth of the matter is that, like, even if these transitions that we're talking about still happen, we're still producing enormous amounts of pollution. Like, we're polluting more now than we ever have. And, like, these transitions, like, are they happening fast enough? Are they happening with enough vigor and urgency, right? And, like, we literally could be saying into the market, we could be just killing fossil fuel cars. Like, we could just be doing that. We could just be implementing policies to just kill those cars. Just be like, no more. You don't get to produce them. They don't exist any longer. That's why humans destroy bees, because we don't deserve anything nice. Well, and we're in a good news pattern. So on those lines, Ruth, the stories of bee populations collapsing and bee populations in decline and all that are pretty overblown. They are pretty overblown. The bee population has been pretty stable for a while now. That the colony collapse stuff was scary and definitely brought a lot of information out, but it wasn't, like, devastating, right? And a lot of the information that you see these days, you know, of course the bee farm or the apiaries are absolutely going to allow those stories to continue around because it looks good for the industry, right? Extreme wealth reliably creates violent antisocial behavior patterns. Yeah. Oh. Frontier passenger allegedly touched 2 flight attendants, then screamed his parents are worth $2 million before punching a flight attendant. Frontier suspended the crew for duct taping the passenger to his seat as they landed in Miami. Jeez. Yeah. And Dave, that's exactly right. Extreme wealth reliably creates violent antisocial behavioral patterns. Yeah. Extreme wealth creates sociopaths. Like, it just does. Like, it creates a sociopath. And again, it's like yet another reason why billionaires are dangerous. Like, you just should not have a billionaire in your society. And Aga, not only the fact that we are torturing animals to produce milk, cheese, eggs, etc., the human psychological impact is immense. The people who work at the slaughterhouses are becoming zombies. Well, and there's an enormous amount of turnover at these slaughterhouses, right? Like, it's a very difficult job to do, and it doesn't pay enough. Like, yeah, I have a ton of bees here where I live, and I'm in a city, but we have banned chemicals. Well, and lots of chemicals have recently got banned. Like, even the Trump administration was banning some chemicals because they were affecting bee patterns and stuff like this. Like, you know, things are really fucking serious when Donald Trump's EPA was banning some chemicals. Yeah, hardly even extreme wealth in the 2 million story of that guy. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't take that much, right? Like, it doesn't take that much to tip you over into the other side of the equation, right? That Like, if everybody around you, if the average wage that people are making is like 50,000, right? And you have 1 million, well, you're probably going to be a fucking sociopath. And like, we just shouldn't allow it. It just shouldn't be part of the discourse. And the people who are arguing, like, we need to get to a place where the people who are arguing for more wealth for themselves are just become societal pariahs, right? That the people who are walking around being like, I should be richer because here's my argument for why I should be richer. We should literally make fun of those people and they should become social pariahs. Like, straight up. Because they're straight up just arrogant, stupid sociopaths. And we should treat them that way. As a psychologist once said, if I were not studying psychopaths in the state penitentiary, I'd be studying them on Wall Street. Yeah. That's absolutely the case, dude. It's absolutely the case. Well, and these guys will absolutely destroy us. Like, they don't give a fuck at all. Like, they don't give a fuck at all. Oh yeah, I love this. Pivoting a little bit. U.S. media be like, and now to talk about human rights atrocities in Cuba, here's a Miami-born daughter of a former sugar plantation owner. Yeah. Yeah, the middle class looks down with malaise. The upper middle class looks down with contempt. And those at the top are truly sociopaths. Yeah. I think that's exactly it. And like, in so much that there is a middle class any longer, right? Like, where is this middle class that I keep hearing about? I don't even know who you're talking about anymore. Oh yeah, this story here. This ties in with what we were talking about. My client and her 4 children were evicted for non-payment of rent today at 2:30 p.m. The new CDC order, which would have covered her, was published today at 5:30 p.m. Her belongings are already out. She and her kids are already displaced. Right? Like, they allowed a little window to happen. So that the landlords who really, really wanted to get these people out could. Oh, Aga, it looks like you had a deleted comment. Deleted comment. Yeah, here's something interesting. Economists have yet to find an answer of why, if the vaccine is free, every individual is not consuming infinite vaccines. Right? Oh, you can't just make food and shelter free because then people will hoard them. As if that's not already happening. As if under the system of capital, hoarding hasn't already happened. Yeah, lots of people think they're middle class, but they're just living on credit and debt. Few people in America would consider themselves poor. Well, and that's part of the grift, right? Like, there's no poor in America. There's just temporary, embarrassed billionaires, right? Thanks, YouTube, for sparing my virgin eyes from all these bad words. I know, right? I know. Well, what would we be like if there were swear words? Like, you know, this is definitely worth talking about. This completely flows into the childishness of our society, that we have curse words. We have words that are considered, oh no, my ears. Oh, I can't possibly. Oh no. Right? Like, we've got these uncouth, like, and what? They're just like sounds, right? They're just like different sounds that come out of your mouth. And they have like the intent of doing harm, and it's like, what the fuck are you even talking about, right? Like, what are you even talking about? Like, it's just so childish. I don't know how else to say it. It's just so like, oh, you said a dirty word. Oh, you said a dirty word. We need to create laws and institutions and structures and delete comments and ban it. No, you can't say this word. It's a dirty word. And I'm like, what? Like, what? It's so... And, like, you got all these, like, Republican types that are just like, freedom of speech and civil liberty and all this. But, like, for years and years and years, we have banned words. That there are words that you simply cannot say. They are curse words. And they're called curse words. Like, you can, like, curse people with magic. So we've got embedded in our society this sort of belief that, like, I can curse you with magic. And they're so bad that I can't even say them on television. Curse words. Like, what are we, babies? I mean, the answer is obviously yes, but... Okay, buddy, we're going to try one more time. This guy, dude, this guy, he's just all about the peanut butter. He's all about the peanut butter, but there's no more peanut butter, dude. You are out. You are out of peanut butter, bud. But go get it. Go get it. I always allowed my kids to swear. I thought there were worse things in the world than a word. I did, however, ask them to think hard before they chose to use them to insult someone else. Yeah, like, I don't know, there's something good about a good, like, swear word. It just sort of punches everything up somehow. I don't quite understand why that is the case. That is certainly true. That, like, if you say you jerk, right, that's not as good as you fucking jerk. Like, it's just something, when, like, that word is not, like, it doesn't add anything really. I guess it, like, lengthens the time that the insult is occurring. But, and there's something pleasant about the word fuck. Like, that word by itself, I think we just like the way it sounds and it feels rolling around in our mouth. Don't you think? Like, just the word fuck. Like, fuck. It's just like perfectly formed in how we, like, first the fricative of F, the, like, nobody starts a word with F unless it's going to be something dramatic, right? Like, F is, like, the most dramatic of letters. Because you know that if you're using the fricative F, what follows is something fantastic. Like, you're going to shout fire, right? Like, it's going to be a big, and then it follows up with the sound, which we all love. Fa, and then it ends with, like, a hard, just full on, like, a fricative, with just a hard glottal stop, right? Fuck! It's like the coyote falling off the cliff. Fuck! That's why fuck is the king of swear words. That's why that one is the king of swear words, because it's like embedded in our genetic code somehow that we, like, it's just those three sounds together make just something perfect that we want to say. We want to say it. It just comes out of us. And it creates such pleasure. It has, like, such a... And we love that there are people around who become uncomfortable by it. We love that aspect of it. That in some way it is like we're testing the people around us at all times. And the people who shrink away from it, we're just like, yeah, I don't need to pay much attention to that person. But the people who are kind of withstanding it and taking it, you're like, okay, good. I'm amongst my peers. I love phonetic descriptions of words, dude. I love talking about phonetics. I never do it because everybody gets, like, I literally see people turn off when I talk about it. I'll, like, talk about it and I could see people just like, oh, hey, I could look at my phone for a little while. But, like, my favorite phonetic word to talk about is beautiful, because beautiful is itself just it's so rich. There's such a richness in the word beautiful. Like, starts with the b, and you're already in the b. B's are the most fun letter because they're b. You get it all in your cheeks, and they're b. but you know, if you just sit there and go but, it's just so fun. It's so fun to just say the B, and then it launches you from that like really like, and it's such a round kind of like full sort of letter to begin a word with, and then you plunge right into the E, which is the most common and also like the hardest of the vowels, E, but you don't spend too much time there because it's like you swim on top of a wave. It's like a wave comes underneath because you're going bew, bew. There's this like flowing bew, and then you hit the right bew, and then iful, and it's just like this kind of like rolling, falling, like, and then you end with like the softest consonant, oh, so it's beautiful, and it has this like shape. It has this beautiful, glorious shape about it that when it comes out of your mouth, it's just so beautiful. Oh. Anyway, I could keep going on, but you guys are going to start turning me off and be like, oh, fuck, oh, Jesus. Dave, I don't think you're being censored. I think it's probably, there's, maybe you're using a word that's been flagged. Take a look at the thing that you're trying to type out and see, like, really just think, like, what could be flagged or not, and just put spaces in between the word, and I'll know what you're saying. I know YouTube. It's just a fucking algorithm. It's just a machine. I've been swearing so much that you watch this particular video is gonna get flagged. Veganism and plastic bans are nice, but have you considered dismantling the fossil fuel industry and redistributing their wealth into the communities poisoned by their reckless pursuit of profit? I don't want to get into my Facebook page on the stream, bud. I'll take a look at it after, though. Beautiful is a self-conscious word. Oh, okay. Says Mocked has opinions. What makes you say that beautiful is a self-conscious word, Mock? Like, is it the... I'm very curious to know. Very curious to know. I like that the stream is going down this like very odd rabbit hole here. We're going down a very like phonetic rabbit hole, which I love. I love phonetics. I love talking about this kind of stuff. Like, what is up with the letter C? If there ever was a word that should just a letter that should not exist at all, it's the letter C, right? It either makes this sound, s, which is an S, so just use the S, or it makes this sound, which is a K, so just use the K. And all of the rules that surround C exist within the other letters. So just, one might say you are a cunning linguist. Oh yeah, Ruth. We don't use any chemicals in our garden. It's a lot of work, but I'm not worried about poisoning my dog, grandchildren, wildlife around us. Well, and also, like we were talking about bees before, and like bees are very susceptible to that kind of thing, right? Like poisons and herbicides and stuff like this. Bees can be they are very, very sensitive to that kind of stuff. And so if you're not using any chemicals, the bees are really, really a big fan of that. They're a really big fan of that. And if you get a hive, this is a big reason why I want to become a beekeeper again, because there's so much interest in urban gardening. But if you put a hive by a garden, it can increase the productivity of that garden by a factor of 10, simply because the bees exist. There was actually a really funny thing that happened on the East Coast because of this. All these blueberry farmers found out that if they pollinated their fields with bees, it increased the amount of blueberries they produced by a factor of 10. And so they all did it. They were all excited. But the problem is that the market didn't need times 10 the amount of blueberries. And so the price of blueberries just collapsed. And that's why for a couple of seasons there, you had like blueberry everything. There was literally like blueberry wine and blueberry this and blueberry that. And it was 100% because blueberries were so fucking cheap, right? And so what did the farmers do in response? Well, they just said, well, if I'm not going to get more money for it, which they weren't because the price dropped, then I'm not going to do it. To which a communist like myself goes, oh, wait a minute. You figured out how to increase productivity of your field by a factor of 10, but capitalism is discouraging you from doing it. That the ultimate, the profit motive has said, no, don't produce 10 times the amount of blueberries. Don't allow people to have access to 10 times the amount of blueberries because you're not going to make any extra money off of it, right? Capitalist innovation right there. Capitalist innovation right there. Meanwhile, like, yeah, I'm a communist. I'm like, make all those fucking blueberries, son. Make all those fucking blueberries. Blueberries. Make those blueberries. Let's have blueberries. Right? Make all of the blueberries. Like, make them all. The bees pollinate the blueberries. You get 10 times the amount of blueberries. Turn around, give them out. Fuck the profit motive. Who gives a fuck at all? Saudi Arabia now has the record again for cheapest solar contract. 10.4 milliwatts an hour. That's a penny a kilowatt hour. LNG can't get below... I don't know, LNG, what does that stand for, bud? LNG can't get below 55 per milliwatt hour. Is that legacy natural gas? That's a guess. Oh yeah, it's hard without pesticides. And the unfortunate truth is that there is like no such thing as like you've got to give bees medicine. Like you've got to use it's not a pesticide. I'm really blanking on what it's called, but there is like a deterrent that you have to give bees or else they just get totally owned. And so but outside of that, you can be pretty natural. Oh, LNG is an oil company out of BC. Okay, got you. Yeah, dude. Like, and my question of our government then becomes, why aren't we just fucking putting up a bunch of solar shit? Like, why aren't we like hard investing and moving hard into solar? Like, I don't get it. I don't get why we're not like completely plowing into it. And the only answer is because the rich sociopaths don't want to. That I've got my oil pipes and I want to be pipelines. All right, here's an article that comes out of the National Post. Liberals holding a small lead over conservatives ahead of possible election. 29% of respondents said they would vote for Liberals if an election were held today. 24% for conservatives and only 16% for the NDP. Like, I wonder if they have a chart or a graph. Nah. The online survey conducted July 30th to August 1st polled 2,000 Canadians. That's not exactly the biggest. Yeah, anyway. That's not really outside the norm, right? None of that is too crazy. Oh, kitty. Kitty in a bra. Gotta love it. Do I have anything else, or am I literally out of stuff? Oh yeah, I just love this. Our entire fucking civilization, billionaire finding another tax loophole. And I liked this one. Because, like, it's self-destructive, right? That the billionaires are so focused on getting that tax loophole, but they don't realize that, like, the entire fucking thing is going to come down on their heads, too. Right? They're not going to fucking be able to recover. Like, it's not going to look good for them. And, like, when the pitchforks start coming out, like, who do they think they're coming for? Yeah, so stupid. The blueberry farmers could have cropped 1/10 of the field and do 1/10 of the work, or get more blueberries, donate them to the poor, or just have that many blueberries in the market. Right? Just have that many blueberries in the market. Like, but because it's not profitable, right? Because it's not profitable. Okay, I've been pricing solar generators lately. The cheapest one that I can find and afford are on Amazon. Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. I should actually look into that myself. It'd be so cool to like have a little solar panel. The sun hits this window like crazy. That's why I've got these big old curtains. Have like a solar panel right here, right? Solar panel, little battery generation. Like I don't use that much electricity, you know? Little solar panel, little energy. Maybe have my computer plugged into it, right? Little switch. Just switch it on over. I should look into it. See how expensive it actually would be. Oh yeah, so much food waste, dude. Like we waste so much food, and voters are gullible, man. Hey Jay, how you doing? Check AliExpress for solar stuff. You'll find the cheapest prices there. Hot tip. Let's do it. AliExpress. AliExpress. Let's do it. Let's do some solar shopping together, guys. Let's do some solar shopping together. So we are looking for solar panel kit complete. Sure. Oh, that can't be real. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, that's about what I was expecting to see. Something like about $500 is what I was sort of thinking. But like, oh, there's stuff down here. I don't know that much about this, so I feel like I'm going to make myself sound like a total dummy. I bet you the solar batteries though are where it gets really expensive. Here, solar battery. Yeah. Oh, that's actually. Looking around. I don't even know what I'm looking at, honestly. So yeah, it would be like $500 is what I would think that you would pay for the solar panel itself. And then probably to get a decent solar battery, you're looking at another $500, I would think. Yeah, that would be the thing. Enough to charge up your phone. Yeah. I have a few little ones that could bring you on the 21st. Well, that would be very sweet of you, Misty. Yeah, it's not, but I feel like it's one of those. It is just one of those like upfront cost sort of things, right? Like once you have the upfront cost out of the way, how short do the days get in winter in Canada? Short enough. Sun goes down at about 5, right? Short enough. But Tony Seba has said that the generation is getting good enough that even in, and like it's just about, and I mean this is because I'm in Ontario. This is less pressing. Like, I am on a hydroelectric power grid, right? That like the power that's being produced is coming from hydroelectricity, so it's not coming from like coal or any of that shit. It's coming from hydro, so it's about as clean as it can get. I feel like these prices are just going to come on down, though, right? Like this is just sort of the beginning of everything. Anyway. Who knows? Maybe I could get on Kijiji, find one of these for $100. Somebody's just like, I got this lying around. I want to get out of here. Oh, here you go. The biggest lie in human history is that capitalism is good. Take a look around you. It's 100 degrees in the Arctic. 26 billionaires hoard half the world's wealth. Entire species of animals are being wiped out. Capitalism is fucking evil. It is killing us and our planet too. Right? And this is just like Ryan Knight, some dude. Like, and it is getting to the point now where, like, the people who are pushing back on the truth, the people who are pushing back on reality, are just starting to look dumb. They're just starting to look dumb. Like, and it's getting, like, eye-rollingly cringy to talk to these guys. They have just come out with some revolutionary battery technology. I imagine lithium will drop in price over the next years. Well, also, Bolivia, which just recently got their socialist fellow back in power, Bolivia has lithium mines that are currently not in use, that they're just sort of now opening up these lithium mines. And So you have a kind of a combination of factors happening where lithium. Oh my goodness! Just give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Oh, I'm just like scratching my nose, and it's just I feel gross. I'm like literally standing in front of you guys. Ugh. Oh yeah, that's the stuff right there. That's the stuff right there. Ah. All right. And pause a little moment, give Milo some more peanut butter, because I'm a nice guy. Or a sap. Could be that I'm a sap. But whatever. Whatever, man. Whatever, man. You don't know me, man. Alright, buddy. Okay. And because I know some of you are just aching to actually see this guy. Come here, bud. Come here. No, here. Milo. Come. Sit. High five, bud. High five. Good boy, buddy. Okay, but we'll do this over here so you're gonna shot. All right. Like Bolivia has big lithium mines, right? And so we could, as they begin to like cultivate and actually begin to mine this stuff, well, and hopefully, big fingers crossed, that as they do that, they're doing it for the benefit of their own people, right? Like, they know that if America gets control of Bolivia, that they'll turn it into something like Chad, where we're just jamming 8-year-olds and 6-year-olds into fucking cobalt mines to like mine out this shit with literally a stick. Like, they know that shit can happen. So it's like, fuck that. Fuck that. Oh yeah, fuck you, Doug Ford, you piece of trash. Oh yeah, I love this. America's youth is ready to march back to school. The economy demands sacrifice. Right? Like, this is what America is doing. The Delta variant, dude. The Delta variant is just gonna own everybody. It's already owning Florida. Onward, if you're still around here, man. Like the state of Florida. And I know I only talk about it, dude, because I know you're right up there in Atlanta, right? These Floridians, they're coming your way, bud. They're coming your way in droves. And like, this is something I was talking about yesterday, and I've been thinking about more and more. And I hope somebody does a bit more research on it or something. But like, the people who are going to die because of the Delta variant and the people who are going to die because of COVID are like the same people who deny the existence of climate change, right? Like, it's so funny to me. It's so funny to me that the people who like are trying to spin a conspiracy theory surrounding COVID, they're trying to turn it into this big, gigantic global conspiracy. They can believe that COVID and the vaccine with it is part of this enormous conspiracy theory, but they can't believe that pouring carbon into the atmosphere will heat the globe. So they can believe this science fiction story, but they can't believe an actual science fiction story that is actually happening, right? Like, and there just does come a point where it's like, if anybody says that it is true, it cannot be, right? Yeah, the brown shirts. Yeah, more cases of Delta since the beginning of pandemic. They're saying, yep, yeah, and the Delta variant spreads. It's apparently as contagious as the chicken pox. It is very, very dangerous. Although Hitler banned the use of mustard gas in warfare, so I don't know why they had to wear a gas mask. Probably because they were expecting the Allies to use mustard gas, right? Like, they were probably expecting their enemies to use it. And, like, that's the reason why you ban chemicals, is not because you're moral or anything, but because, like, it fucks your own troops up, right? Like, you're not actually interested in, being righteous or truthful or anything, right? Like, you're just interested in not fucking your own troops up. Oh, now we have Delta Plus? Is that something? Onward, I always feel like you're slightly one step ahead of me. Delta plus variant. Delta plus COVID arrives in South Korea. Okay, here we go. Hopefully this won't be paywalled. Advertisement. Capitalism. I know we're talking about a deadly pandemic, but can you make sure that capitalism? South Korea's Disease Control and Prevention Agency said Tuesday that it recorded at least 2 cases of the new coronavirus Delta Plus variant, which some experts believe to be more transmissible than the original Delta variant. So it's even more transmissible. So it's like so the Delta variant itself is already as transmissible as like the chickenpox. And so now we've got another variant of Delta that's even more transmissible. So that's fantastic. It has been detected in several countries, including the UK, United States, and India. Last month, experts in India labeled the variant one of concern and warned that it will appear to be more transmissible. The country's health ministry said that the variant has the ability to bind more easily to lung cells and could be resistant to therapies used to treat the infection. Like, at what point are we all just gonna, like, stop? Right? At what point are we all just gonna, like, stop and slow down and do stuff? The add-on uBlock. Okay, Jay, I'll look into it, bud. For sure I will. Here, I'll even do this. uBlock. Okay. I'll look into it. Thank you. Get ready for SPARS by 2025. Yeah. Well, and big questions about because we know that the vaccine is somewhat effective against the Delta variant, right? It's not as effective as the coronavirus, as the normal variant, or as the base, whatever you want to call it. But its diminishment is not critical, right? So if the vaccine is 85% effective against corona, then the Delta variant is 75% effective, right? Like, so it's like, so there's like a bit of that going on, and but at the same time, like, we're not actually dealing with this the way it needs to be dealt with, right? Which is collectively as a people. As long as we continue withholding vaccines from places that can't afford these vaccines, then we're just going to continuously create cesspools for these variants to come up, right? And because our model is all based on, with withholding unless you sell us something, right? Because we're a fucking global, we have a global system of salesmanship, because we're all salesmen selling bullshit to one another. Well, it turns out that when we actually need something to happen in a rapid global scale way, like, what's the point of having a global system if we're not actually going to, like, spread this shit around? Like, imagine if we lived in a global society where, like, a coronavirus popped up, or some kind of virus popped up, and we all worked together to create a vaccine and then distributed that vaccine globally. And just said, like, there it is, right? Like, we would just be like crushing this shit. We'd just be like, nope. But instead of that, we've created like these cesspools, and like the disaster that is befalling the United States cannot be overstated, and like is a complete and total indictment of their system, right? That like literally half the population is just not going to get the coronavirus, or vaccine rather. They're not going to get it. I've seen headlines about a doomsday variant that could emerge, but it sounds a bit sensational, at least right now. Well, okay, but like, so far the mutations seem to be about contagion, right? That's where the thing is it's about spreading itself more. Well, what happens if a variant comes up that has the kind of transmissibility as this Delta variant, but has the death rate of something like Ebola, right? Like Ebola, as it spread through Africa, the saving grace about Ebola was that it was tough to transmit. It didn't transmit very easily, right? But it had a very high death rate. Like its rate of recovery was very, very low. So like, and those sorts of mutations are like not unheard of. And like, I feel like right now we're just lucky. Like we're just kind of rolling the dice every time and just being like, okay, what is it going to be? What is it going to be? No, shut that biological warfare shit down. I don't want to hear that in chat at all. I don't want to hear that in chat at all, dude. I will look at any article and I will look at any evidence that anyone wants to show me showing a biological weapons program that exists anywhere on the planet, but I am not going to speculate on biological warfare. That is an incredible thing to speculate on. That is an incredible thing to talk about. And the reason why I'm coming out so hard on that is because Aaron O'Toole, the conservative leader, has essentially accused Justin Trudeau of aiding a cover-up to a biological weapons program in China. So that's a serious talking point, okay? And I genuinely don't want to see it. I come out hard swinging on that because that's the kind of shit that people will fucking go to war over. And I'm not interested in being a place that's going to speculate and foment anything about a biological weapons program unless I straight out see a document in front of me that is credible and legitimate. I'm not interested. Sorry to come down hard on that, but like that's a very, very, very like high level, scary subject that a place like the United States has absolutely used as a casus belli to invade places. And so spreading that shit around, I'm not interested. I'm not fucking interested. Lambda sounds, it's as transmissible as Delta, but more vaccine resistant. Yeah, and the vaccine resistant thing is another kind of scary point. And there does come a point where you do got to start wondering, like, are these guys just actively keeping this thing going because they know they can keep selling vaccines? Right? That's definitely, like, you want to talk about some speculation. There's something that I'll speculate about. Like, why cure this thing? Why cure this thing? If I'm this fucking capitalist death cult, why am I curing this thing? I'm not going to cure this thing, right? Keep letting these waves come through. Keep letting these waves come through and kill a bunch of old people. Come on, keep it going through and scare the populace, get them all vaccinated again, right? Make the government pay for these vaccines. Do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like, keep doing it. Why cure this thing? Let it mutate. Let it get more dangerous. Like, why try to cure this thing? Why try to contain it? Like, as long as I don't get it, I don't give a fuck. Is their position. And biological warfare is just a dog whistle for racism. I mean, in a way, that's the case. Like, it's become a real speculative talking point throughout the United States. The lab leak theory, right? Like, it's like the lab leak theory is really a way for Americans, especially, I find. And the lab leak theory has been getting speculated on by people who I really respect, like people who I genuinely listen to, and who I take seriously as commentators, and yet they are completely willing to speculate on this lab leak theory. And near as I can tell, that's being done as a way to completely ignore their own inability to deal with this crisis. That the response of the capitalist system has been a failure and completely inadequate. But instead of discussing that, we're discussing the lab leak theory. And it's just a way to kind of deflect away from self-analysis. Like, that's what it is. It's a way to deflect away from self-analysis and to put the problem onto some other. That, oh, it's a lab leak. Like, which again is like, that's a pretty high level, like that's a pretty high level condemnation. And like, you got people like Jon Stewart. He's like, oh, the name of the lab is the disease. It's like, dude, like SARS happened. They put this lab here in conjunction with like places like Australia and France and Texas, right? They put it here because it was the most likely place for this for another virus like this to come from, right? Like that's the narrative, and there's just so much. Well, and it's another one of these things where like people don't really know anything about the subject, right? They don't really know anything about the subject, and so people glom on to like, it's like when anti-vaxxers say like there's mercury in vaccines and that's dangerous. It's like, okay, but you don't really know anything. So Jay is saying, I'm not really a conspiracy theorist, but I really am against taking any vaccine. This pandemic has been quite the fishy situation, though. Yeah, there's been a lot going on with it, for sure. I feel sometimes there are other motives behind it, such as political gains from huge corporations that are allowed to operate during it. Yeah. I think that you are kind of on to something there, that the desire to privatize the society is, and if you read Naomi Klein's Disaster Capitalism, you can see the through line pretty clearly about how, like, oh, here's a big fucking disaster. How can we manipulate this, like, legitimate natural disaster for our own benefit? And one of the ways to do that is to have politicians kill competition, destroy your competitors, destroy small-scale businesses, and leave the big box stores open, right? Let Amazon keep functioning, right? And there's a reason why there's been this gigantic wealth transfer, right? And it is just kind of like, but that's not because of the disease. That's not because of COVID, right? That was going to happen anyway. COVID just allowed it to accelerate. It just allowed it to accelerate. And Jay, I want to encourage you to go get your vaccine, okay? Like, and the reason why I say this, and here's my argument, okay, is that when it comes to crises like these, when it comes to situations like this, the people who you should always be listening to are the people on the front lines. I'm not talking about the politicians. I'm not talking about any high-level kind of anybody. I'm literally talking about, in this case, doctors and nurses, okay? Doctors and nurses who have been dealing with this on the front lines all the time. Like, there are people walking around our society who are saying that COVID doesn't exist. And it's like, okay, dude, if that's the case, then what's up with all these doctors and nurses on the front lines dealing with COVID on the regular? Like, what's that all about? Right? Like, and that's where you get kind of into delusional crazy town. But like, what do the doctors and nurses who are on the front lines say would be the number one thing to do? Get the vaccine, right? And so I'm completely with you in regards to like your hesitancy or your concerns or your skepticism, all that kind of stuff, and all the societal commentary and everything. I can completely agree with you, and in fact, I can completely cede all of that. Everything that you believe, absolutely, for sure. For sure. I will go along with 100%. The experts, the people who are dealing with the problem, like directly in their face on a day-to-day basis, who are sacrificing their own personal health and safety, who are doing everything they can to get in the way of this thing, are saying the number one thing for us to do is to get our vaccine. I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to listen to them because they're the ones that are dealing with it. And if I sit here and keep pounding on the pulpit saying, oh, we live in a pretend society and we need to build a real society, well, the number one thing we can do to build a real society is to listen to the people who are in the front of the crises as we do it. So I'm really encouraging you. Please. I put it off too for a long time. Onward says, I got Pfizer. I'm not looking forward to repeating the experience the second. Yeah, me too. Wondering if a third shot will be even worse. Yeah, bud. I was surprised. I was expecting it to be a couple of days, but it put me out for a week. It really knocked me out. But I'm kind of a whiny bitch about this kind of stuff. So I'm very dramatic. Hair flip. My second shot of Pfizer made me feel a bit whoopy, but I feel fine afterwards. Yeah. Jay, I feel I'll be forced to take it soon because my rights will be taken away if not. I don't like that either. It's a tough situation, Jay. Where are you at, Jay? Like, where are you at? Are you in the States? Or are you in Canada? Where are you at? Nurses don't lie. I've met a couple of anti-vax nurses, man. That's been an odd experience. It's really weird to talk to a nurse that's an anti-vaxxer. That's a very strange situation. Aga, I've got both Moderna. First was okay. Just my arm hurt. The second put me out for half a day, but I was fine afterwards. Oh, you're here in Ontario, Jay. Well, great. Another Ontario boy. Fantastic. Same story here, man. I've like isolation big time. I'm kind of an isolating person in the first place. Like, I trick everybody into believing that I'm like a great extrovert and all that kind of stuff, but I am not. I very much am like a kind of a sheltered hermit type. It's like I'm a hermit that has the gift of gab. You know, I don't know how to explain it, but it's but me too. Like, I totally isolated myself. I'm not interested in. It's been kind of nice, you know. I got to tell you, it's been kind of nice to just like, you know, hunker down, live this kind of quiet little life. You know, if I had a little parcel of land, I'd be like, you know, growing some onions or something, growing some potatoes, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it is. It has been kind of nice, and I kind of hope to keep it that way. So we'll see. Introverts like to talk; they just hate empty chit chat. Do you think, Jay, that the Ford administration actually will make it mandatory? I don't think so. I don't think Ford will make it mandatory. They might make certain activities, like if you try to take a flight, for example, or that kind of thing. But I feel like generally like the response is that, like, if you don't vaccinate, you're the one that's at risk, right? That it's not the vaccinated people that are at risk, it's the unvaccinated people who are at risk. And I don't know. I'd be surprised to see the Ford administration do some kind of mandatory thing. Yeah, but exactly. But like, which activities? Like, will we still be able to go out to eat? Right? Miss eating out. Yeah. I actually went out to eat my cousin came in to the city and she took me out to a nice 4-star restaurant. And it was all indoor, like the whole thing. You didn't even have to wear your mask. So I don't know how they're getting away with it. I don't know what that's about. Especially because we know now that COVID is airborne, right? Like, and that, like, if you're in a enclosed space breathing COVID air, and COVID can linger for several hours in an enclosed space. So I have no idea how they got away with that shit. But I had gotten my vaccine, so I felt fine. Yeah, I want to travel and not be segregated. Jay, I gotta tell you, dude, like, for your own personal safety and your own personal health, like, walk down to your local Shoppers Drug Mart. This is how easy it is now, dude. Walk into your local Shoppers Drug Mart, say you want to get the vaccine, and they'll give it to you on the spot, right? Like, maybe they'll make you wait for about 15 minutes while they get it all together and all that kind of stuff. But, like, and then you got to chill out for another 15. But just, like, book a couple hours. Like, go for a walk to your local Shoppers Drug Mart. Get it done. It's easy to do. You'll be tired for a couple of days. But for your own personal safety, dude, like, I really am encouraging you. Like, it doesn't. If you're gonna walk into, you know, if you're gonna walk into a sword fight, you might as well have a shield, right? Ruth says, after searching forever, neither my mother had any side effects except very tired, sore arm, but I was fine the next day. My mom got Pfizer, I got Pfizerna. Oh yeah, I know you're. Yeah, and it's interesting. Like, I just think it's. There's too many different types of people, and they're kind of coming out with this really quickly. So it's like, everyone's having a different experience, I think, is what I'm trying to land on. When we had SARS in 2003, why weren't there any shutdowns back then? SARS didn't spread as badly as COVID has, and SARS I don't remember if SARS actually made it here. Did SARS actually make it here? I was living in Manitoba at the time, and for sure SARS didn't make its way to Manitoba. But, like, SARS definitely... did SARS... I don't remember how SARS in Canada. Yeah, there are only like 251 probable cases, right? So like, it to me it was like it showed up, they got it under control, it went away, and they were just like, okay, but like 247 cases, they're not going to shut the place down. Like that's in control. Like that's in control, right? Like that's like 247 cases total. Like that's the amount of COVID cases we get daily. Like right now, and we're in like the valley right now, right? So 250 cases, like they're not going to shut anything down for that. If SARS had taken off, sure, but it didn't. So that's what happened. But yeah, and of course it was a big thing because it was one of those moments of like, because we do have like health administration industry, like, and all this kind of stuff, like, and people who are concerned about this shit, right? So J. Please, Jay, go get your vaccine, dude. Like, go get your vaccine. I'm already autoimmune celiac, so it worries me. If I get any type of sickness, I could be screwed. Go, Jay, please. Please. Do it for me. Do it for me, bud. Don't, like, fuck you and your health. Do it for me. Like, do it, just, I really am encouraging you, dude. It's easy to do. It's very straightforward. Grab your health card, walk into a Shoppers Drug Mart. They've got it. They'll do it. And if they don't have it, they'll send you to a place that does. Oh, you had H1N1 in 2009. That's tough. I knew somebody. H1N1. That's swine flu, right? I knew somebody that got swine flu, and they had to be like fully quarantined 2 weeks, and she was walking around like horking shit up for months. And that's another thing that we're starting to see about COVID is that there are long-term effects. DM, I asked for a lollipop and they wouldn't give me one. They wouldn't give me one. I was just like, what? You're not gonna give me a lollipop? And then she was like, they taste like medicine anyway. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, fine. And then I went and got myself an ice cream. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing, man. As contagious as Delta is, if you're not vaccinated, you are going to get it. It's as contagious as the chicken pox, and it is airborne. Like, it's no. Let's scare people. Let's scare people. I am fine with scaring people. I will gladly use fear as a motivator. Like, and because it's so easy to get the vaccine now. It's so easy to get the vaccine now. Literally walk into a Shoppers Drug Mart. I know you've got a Shoppers Drug Mart near you, bud. You're in Ontario. Shoppers Drug Marts are everywhere. You every city, every town has a Shoppers Drug Mart. Good, bud. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to. Tell me when you've done it, buddy. Tell me when you've done it, because like I put it off forever. I put it off for a long time. And the reason I put it off initially was because I wanted to make sure that the people who really needed it got it. And then that kind of faded away. And then it was just me being kind of like belligerent and just kind of being like a bit pedantic about it. And I was just like, nah, whatever, it'll and then I started to get it into my head that it's a whole hullabaloo and it's going to be such a thing. And then I literally found out, like, no, you can just walk into a Shoppers Drug Mart. You don't need to schedule an appointment. You don't need to do anything. You literally just watch into... Yeah, 2 blocks away, you've been avoiding it. Yeah, no more, dude. Go get yourself, like, an ice cream and a bag of chips. Like, go get a chocolate bar and just, like, walk down to the pharmacy and be like, hey, can I get my vaccine shot? And they'll be like, yeah. And they'll just do it. Right? So here, the big push. Let's get it done, bud. Let's get it done. Well, and guys, with that, we have come to the end of the show. I need to come up with like a closing song. I have like an opening song. I need to be like, well, thanks for coming, farewell, goodbye. Yeah, the just always remember you guys, right? Like that, and you know what? I do want to say this time, thanks so much for being here, guys. I really came into this one feeling down and feeling really blue, and this particular episode was just like a fire. Like you guys came in here ready to play, and just like the chat was really hot, man. I'm so glad that each and every one of you are here. I'm so glad that each and every one of you are fighting the good fight. I'm so glad that each and every one of you are doing well. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. If you've got that dollar jangling in your pocket, think about sending it my way. All that kind of stuff. But never forget, guys, you are divine beings standing in divine energy. These guys are spending hundreds of billions of dollars to gaslight you into believing anything else. Don't let them. Good luck. We're going to need it.